Good evening. I'll call the meeting to order. Please rise and join us in the pledge. And I apologize for starting a little tardy. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We're going to move right to proclamation for the North Reading Dollars for Scholars.
Mr. Chairman, I move to proclaim March 9th to the 14th, 2014 as CSF Dollars for Scholars Week and to read the attached proclamation.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
I'll read the proclamation. Whereas the Citizen Scholarship Foundation is a group of hardworking, dedicated individuals, and whereas the CSF members have devoted both time and talent to the difficult task of seeking scholarship funds for deserving students, and whereas CSF is planning its annual phone-a-thon for the week of March 9th through March 14th, 2014. I'll repeat that again, folks. Answer your phones when they call. It's the week of March 9th through 14th, 2014, where high school students will contact all North Reading homes by telephone seeking pledges to the CSF Scholarship Fund. Now, therefore, we, the Board of Selectmen of North Reading, do hereby proclaim the week of March 9th through 14th, 2014 as CSF Dollars for Scholars Week, and urge all citizens to open their hearts and their purses to the benefit of North Reading students who want to continue their education. Signed, Sean T. Delaney, Chairman, Board of Selectmen. Mr. Teresi's here, along with your very dedicated volunteer students.
Student reps, sure.
And would you or the students like to get up?
Sure, I'd like
Say
to
a couple
introduce the
words?
students, please. Delaney Castle, she's a senior. Nick Phillips, who's a junior. Elizabeth Carlson and Nick Day, who are sophomores. And Michael McCauley, who's a freshman. They've all been dedicated students working with Dollars for Scholars since they've started their high school career. And we've had Delaney ever since she's been a young child, and delighted that she's been working with us.
I was going to say, Delaney's been here almost more often than you, I think. Pretty close.
Close enough. I've
For
been
our
doing this for
presentations,
22
anyway.
years.
I know, 22 years, but not making the presentation for
Yeah,
us. but yeah.
If I could just read something to...
Absolutely.
Good evening, my name is Tony Teresi. I'm the president of North Reading Dollars for Scholars, a nonprofit organization dedicated to provide financial assistance pursuing those individuals pursuing education in North Reading. This marks our 51st year serving the town of North Reading. Over the last 50 years, North Reading Dollars for Scholars has awarded $856,225 in scholarships to 1,929 high school students and post-grad students. We're one of the only foundations that can do post-grad students too in the state of Massachusetts. Over the last 10 years, North Reading Dollars for Scholars has averaged an annual $27,145 in scholarships to 50 deserving residents of North Reading. North Reading Dollars for Scholars would like to be able to continue this fine duty that we have established here with the generosity of the citizens of North Reading. Our phone-a-thon, as you guys said, will start March 9th and continues through Friday, March 14th. Tonight, we come before the Selectmen, and thank you for your support with this. I thank the students, thank you for all the hard work that you guys do for us and the citizens of North Reading, and we all thank you very much for your support and dedication. I know you've used us in the past, Mr. O'Leary, and you continue to use us.
One more year.
Doesn't stop there. We thank you very much for your presentation tonight, allowing us to come to before you.
Well, it's my pleasure, my privilege to be able to proclaim this week of 9th to the 14th for you folks. Thank you for
Thank you
all
very
you
much.
do for all the students, and students for your time and volunteerism. Thank you very much
Take a
for what
picture?
you've done for
Yeah.
your fellow classmates and those that have gone before you, and hopefully you can reap the benefits of it too. And Delaney, your last year is my last year, and I wish you the best of luck.
Yeah, you're happy with it, right?
And, Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to say that, along with, people opening their purses as they call, my father served close to 25 years on the school committee, and when he passed away, he wanted to have people make contributions that are flowers to Dollars for Scholars and Citizen Scholarship Foundation. It's another avenue where people can give and have endowments
That's correct.
placed, with the Dollars for Scholars. And again, as Mr. Teresi pointed out, my two boys have been beneficiaries of this, and I can say as a parent who's driving a 2003 vehicle right now, that, everything helps as far as, getting our kids educated. And certainly appreciated the effort that the volunteers over the years, the last 51 years have put in. And again, you guys a little blood money where you have to go down to the, make the phone calls, but it's well worth it, and we thank you very much for all your efforts and
Thank you, Mr.
success
O'Leary,
that's
for your
been-
kind words. I really
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Thank you.
And we don't have to wait for individuals to pass on. We do have endowment funds for those
Right.
individuals who've started before they passed on, so it's great. We just got a $5,000 donation from a citizen in North Reading, too, so we're very grateful for
Fantastic,
that
yeah.
individual.
And I know in speaking with you, you're always looking for adult volunteers as well, to sort of pick up the reins and help out as well.
Yes.
So if you want to speak about that, Mr. Teresi.
Real
do so.
quickly, I know these fine folks are waiting to step up here, but...
They can wait.
They're looking for money,
They can
too.
wait, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot more.
These are all the departments.
I've been doing this for 22 years, and not this year, but next June will be my last year on the board of North Reading Dollars for Scholars. So I'm looking to have anyone who wants to volunteer their time and their efforts to, we just meet once a month. We have a meeting tonight at the high school. We're supposed to start at 7:30, but it'll start a little late tonight. Executive
My
session.
apologies.
Prevails. But our meeting will, we meet once a month, second Monday of the month. Usually this month we're meeting first Monday because of the phone-a-thon starting next week. But it's a very short meeting, very short and sweet. Looking for someone to take over my position. Hopefully someone's mom here will be the forerunner of that individual.
Mr. Day, don't put your head down.
But all kidding aside, we do need volunteers, those individuals who are looking to do anything, is more than help. Yes, sir.
How do they contact you if they're interested?
I'm listed unfortunately in the paper, in the phone book.
Okay.
The number's very easy, 978-664-1130. And I work right here in North Reading at Citizens Bank. So.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Let's stay seated, kids are gonna stand up behind you.
I don't know if I trust these kids there.
Oh, hey.
Mike, you may want to swap the name tag, though,
That's all right.
so they don't confuse you.
Bob wants you
Confuse the
to,
town.
Bob wants you to switch it. Siri wants you to switch it.
So, that's your proclamation.
No, we got the proclamation. Where's the proclamation? Well, the actual proclamation. We actually have, what do you think? I made that up?
Off the top of his head. He's good. He's
Can never do that.
Was you gonna go like this?
Exactly.
Come on, you've got a couple more years. She doesn't.
Pretty good.
You do Photoshop, right?
Just make the, show the old guys looking, not the kids.
Absolutely.
Photoshop.
Make you look like a teenager. Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Nice to see you.
Yeah, I know
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. Take care. Thank you. Take care.
Take care.
Thank you.
Take care, folks. Thanks again.
Tony,
Take
thank
care.
you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Skip the minutes for now.
Good. Skip the minutes. Back to August.
Go to one-day liquor license. Item number 6.
Good evening, everyone. How are you?
Yeah, I know.
Back.
Welcome back.
So you all may know me by now. My name is Rami Saeed. I represent the FA Project, and we raise awareness and raise some money for people living with a disease called Friedreich's ataxia. Every year this will be our 5th year, holding our annual bowl-a-thon at the Candlewood Lanes here in North Reading, and I'm here to just apply for our liquor license, or our beer and wine license.
Any questions, board members? Nope. Do we have a motion, Mr. Fode?
Mr. Chairman, I move to grant a one-day wine and malt beverage license to the FA Project, Inc. for an event to be held at Candlewood Lanes, 35 Main Street on April 12, 2014, between the hours of 7 p.m. to 11 p.m., subject to all regulatory department requirements.
Second?
Thank you. Motion, and a second. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
4-0, 1 absent. Best of luck.
Thank you very much. See you next year.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Anyone here for public comment? Item 7, announce the annual Parks and Recreation Wine and Food Social. Come on down.
You got yours? You want your one? And hand these out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Maureen.
I'm Maureen Stevens. I'm here on behalf of the North Reading Parks and Recreation Department. We just wanted to let everyone else know that we're running our 13th annual Spring Wine and Food Social. It's our biggest fundraiser of the year that we run for improvements to Ipswich River Park. And it's going to be Friday, March 21st, 7 to 10, Hillview Country Club. $40 a ticket. It includes food, wine from around the world, various lagers. It'll have a silent auction, raffle. The tickets are available either online at the Parks and Rec office, or if you look at this little brochure, it's available for many of our Parks and Rec committee members as well. This is a very, very important social. It's well attended every year. We have generally 300 people attend. It's something that we look forward to every year, and it is a very important fundraiser for the park. So we hope that those who want to attend will contact us for tickets. It's something that everyone has a great time. So we just want to promote that, and if you know anybody who would like to attend, just have them give us a call at the office, or they can go online and buy a ticket.
Thank you, Maureen.
You're welcome. Right there.
Rudy, you got two say for me over there?
All right.
This is a great social event, I tell you, it's highlight for the community, and they do a terrific job, and a lot of local establishments share their wares with us, and it's a great event. So I would encourage everybody to go, and all goes to a good cause, and just think about that Ipswich River Park that we have. It's a real jewel, but it takes some money to maintain, and it takes some money to improve, so all goes to a good cause.
Well said, Mr. O'Leary. Moving now to budgets. Oh, look at this, recreation is the first budget. How did that happen, huh?
Love the papers right
Thinking
here.
about money.
That transition did very well. All right. Well, again, I'm Maureen Stevens. I'm the department head of Parks and Recreation. I'm here to present the FY 2015 operating budget for our enterprise fund. We are a department that is self-supporting in a sense, and we do ask the town for some help with a couple of salaries. We're staffed by a full-time Parks Director, Recreation Director, Department Head, and a part-time Secretary and Programmer, as well as 2 full-time Parks employees. We take care of numerous parks, tennis courts, and basically everything that comes under the sun of the Parks Department. Our mission is to elevate the quality of life in North Reading residents by striving to provide the best recreation programming and park facilities. Our staff is extremely dedicated. We have an incredible amount of volunteers. We couldn't do what we do without their help. And we do a lot of things with sponsors. We thank them so much for giving back to our community. As you know, with our wine and food, we require sponsorships. Our recreation department gets sponsors for advertising. Our parks department gets sponsors for banners and things like that to help with improvements to the park. So our accomplishments over the last year have been security cameras were installed at Ipswich River Park, which did help decrease the vandalism that we see at the park and at the shack. They're not breaking in as much. They're not breaking in since we put the cameras in. So that has helped, and we'd like to increase that to some other vulnerable areas in the park. We were also ran our successful summer concert barbecue series, the 6-week series that we held. It's extremely popular, as the wine and food social is, so is the concert barbecue series. We've already booked bands and children's entertainers for this year, and we're looking to get our sponsors all set. We held our wine and food last year to a good success with 17 restaurants. We just invested in a new parks permitting and recreation online software program, which should increase our efficiency. It just offers a vast amount of options to sign up online for programs. It does show the residents what they've done financially. It gives them a financial a program calendar. If they've done a reservation at the park, they can look at their program calendar. It's a very big attribute to what we offer. It's definitely efficient, user-friendly, and the public has really come back and said they really like it. Our website is generally ranked number 2 for the hits on the top 10 downloaded pages, so it gets a lot of activity. And our Facebook account is also got 537 likes. We are on it all the time, giving everybody updates. We do use 6 senior citizen volunteers as well as numerous high school volunteers as well. Our Friends of organization, the North Reading Parks and Rec Friends of, is a 501c3 charitable organization that does fundraisers throughout the year that help us with improvements to the parks, and if we need things that we might not be able to have in our budget. It might be some type of equipment that we couldn't afford, and they're the ones that run things that a 501c can run that we cannot. So we definitely look towards them to help us with our fundraising goals. Basically, we're very optimistic about our programs and our rentals and league revenues for this year. We're aggressive, but we're also very cautious about our expenditures if we don't meet them. We are always looking at something. If something's not meeting a goal of revenue, we are always cutting an expense, so that we are always working at a profit, or we're covering our expenses and to meet our goals to pay all our bills and what have you, which we do successfully each year. So basically, our revenue projection is up a little bit. Our expenditures are down a little bit. We're looking to get a new mower. We've kind of made some cost cutting. We're looking at things, our programs, we're looking at getting more commissioned things in where we don't have to have an expense against it. They just give us a commission from running a camp through the recreation department. It's a more efficient way to run things. We sign up people, they sign up people, and they give us a commission check per person that comes in, and it's a good combination, a collaboration of efforts over the summer. Lynn runs a ton of summer programs, and it's our biggest revenue generator is all the summer clinics that she does along with the summer program. So basically, we're looking at bringing in some revenues, and we're asking the town to subsidize the 2 salaries that they have, which is the Parks Director as well as the Operations Director, which is me. Again, and we are looking to use a little bit of our retained earnings to help us pay for the mower. So that in a nutshell is our budget. We very carefully look it over, and we go through it, and we cost cut here, and we add here, and we reduce there, and we come up with, we base it on like averages and where we were last year. So.
Okay. Mr. O'Leary?
Just looking at your budget proposal, I mean, obviously, you're looking to take a hit in a couple of areas here in relation to purchase of services and supplies. And so the net difference to the town is very little, $1,295 over last year. Just how do you, like on the electricity, is it because you're charging more for the field down at Arthur County Field in order to cover those costs? I assume most of the electrical costs are.
Right, they are.
the
That's
lights at
the
the
bulk
field.
of our electrical is that, and we're getting that back. With the school has to pay for their usage, club teams have to pay for theirs, the league has to pay for their usage. So they're all paying for it, so it's, I'm only putting in the usage that we have to use when it's not being rented, which is just a flat rate and what have you. So that's what we do. We shut it off during off-seasons. It's not on now. It won't be on until our rentals. We could have it rented right now if the snow wasn't on it. We've had numerous inquiries to start this last weekend that just began, but snow's stopping us from that. So, yeah, the electrical, I just kind of recalculated that anything that comes in and goes out, I just made it that it's just being paid as a revenue, so.
Okay. And then as far as the rec program supplies, that's a substantial cut of $14,000. Is it because the programming is being cut back, or because you find another source of revenue for it?
Yeah, basically what it is the programming, service and supplies are down because we have contracted with, like for instance, Challenger Soccer. They just pay us a commission. We were doing business with a lot of places that we took the registrations and we paid them. But that's not the way. So now it's just a revenue, it's not an expenditure. So it's not gonna show, we don't need to show the expense because we don't have an expense. They just pay us a commission check, so to speak. So that's why some of them, and Lynn and Maria Brown have been running a lot of some of her events, just the two of them with a little bit of help in coming up. Like, for instance, she just ran her own art class. Normally, we've contracted that out, but Lynn is a fantastic artist. And so she's done a good job, and they just did a mural program at the rec center and did painted all murals on the walls, and she did that with Maria Brown. We normally would have contracted that out, but having them do it under their salaries is a big cost savings. So she's been throwing some of those programs out, which she's shifting things to save a lot of money that way, because the vendors get a lot of money, thousands of dollars in a week to do it. So we might as well, if we have the talent, we use it. So that's why these are down, because Lynn and I went over these, and where we could go down is those particular things. It's not that we're cutting it, it's just we're cutting the expenses to it.
Yeah, but as far as anticipating going forward, I mean, this year coming here, we're fortunate because of what's happening, the talent that we have.
Yes.
Obviously, the talent that we have. But going forward, is this something that we can anticipate going forward, or should we factor in
No.
making up for it? I mean, maybe not on the electricity, because...
Right, we're anticipating using more of our own labor, so to speak, to run programs and do more of the, we're bringing in a football program as well, and the same thing, they want to take registrations. So it's coming that way, that we're not having to pay out and have this expense, and we're getting a per person or per child rate. And they take a little bit more of the work away. Now they can take the registrations away.
Marty, let me ask, so they come in, they give you commission per person
Per registrant.
and then they pay a user fee for the field? Is that how it works, or is that
No, they just pay.
wrapped into the registration fee?
Yeah, they contract with Lynn, they go over a contract and make a determination based on the size of the camp, how many hours the camps are, how many days it runs, and she determines the fee structure that she wants per child. And then they determine who's going to take registrations. Are we going to take them? Are they going to take them? Are we both going to take them? Sometimes it's a merge that we do it, and and we're a good advertising source for them. So, and she has the use of the turf field during the summer, as well as Ipswich River Park. Ipswich River Park, every week there's a camp, if not one or two, within the park that she's running. So that's going on there.
Mr. Prisco.
Under what you call page 4 of your
Yep.
expense budget, you talk about this, and your budget includes the cost for new cameras, right?
Not necessarily it will cost, no, that's something we'd probably go to the Friends of for. If we were going
Oh,
to
okay.
we usually go for and ask for a gift for that.
Right, I didn't understand in the budget if you were requesting the money for the
No,
cameras.
it's something that's on our radar that we may expand it. We want a little bit more coverage, as Marty said, in the pavilion area overlooking the fields, and it's something that, he's making an expansion of electrical and water there, so soon we want to have more expanse. We want to have it over the barn and what have you, so we may knock on the Friends of for that.
Okay. 'Cause
Or-
I didn't see it in that expense sheet, so.
Cost isn't huge for that generally, and sometimes Marty can absorb that in some of his facilities, in his facility expenses. He's got some areas that have that improvements or construction and what have you. If he's a little low on one and he's coming along, we usually find a way to find the monies.
It's much needed, though. I think it's fantastic that you're making the investment.
It has made a difference.
Because it
We
will
haven't had
make a
any
return.
cars ram into the shack in a while. They had, that's what they did.
Yeah.
So, you just ram into it, but now with the cameras, they know that they're pretty much gonna get caught.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anyone else? Finance Committee? Any questions, comments?
We're going to take it up at our next meeting.
Sure, they heard that at home. Thank you. Now, I know, probably a sore subject, but I'm going to go flashback to last year. And there's a talk about, is the enterprise fund working, not working? What are we finding now? Was it working? I
It's
assume
not-
you're finding that it's working because there's no proposal to do something different. I just want to sort of close the loop on that.
We really, to make it different, I don't even know how we'd do it, other than you'd have to split the department, and then we'd have to go through all types of doings to split it, have the parks being itself and the rec being itself, and I don't even know if that would work, and so we're making it work. It's not our favorite form of accounting method. The revolving was much smoother and easier. I know when they say enterprise fund.
Long gone, you gotta forget about it.
I know. So, I mean, when you say enterprise fund, you know, the water department, people need water, they're gonna get water. We're a recreation department, people have to wanna come to us, so we have to make them want to come to our fields and come to our programs, or we're dead in the water. And, you know, the Hillview Golf Course, they have the golf course, they have the banquet function, and people use it all the time. Our facilities are smaller, and filling them, like the rec center, to fill a program, 20 children, you know, numbers mean more money. So we would love to have a bigger facility, but the enterprise fund it's just the accounting method.
Erin
where-
Pretty's here too, she wants a bigger and newer
Right.
facility too, so we're gonna hear that, it's gonna be a
Yeah.
theme.
But there's always,
no.
one can dream. So, always have goals.
Ms. Paveo, it's working?
So far, so good.
I believe they ended, FY13 in a good position, and, there was no budget modifications at October town meeting for FY14. So I think they have a good handle of it.
Just, you have two line items here where you have no dollars next to, because I guess you don't need money this year, but your capital maintenance plan?
Right.
What is the plan? I mean, the turf field's not gonna last,
It
we'd
isn't
like it to
gonna
last
last
forever,
forever.
but it won't. So is there a plan in terms of trying to put some money away on an annual
We
basis?
review it every meeting we have, and we're trying to determine how we want to develop some type of capital maintenance plan through either extra monies we might have at the end of each year. Instead of putting it into retained, can we put it in that? So when we get to that position where we feel we have some extra money, we were hoping to be able to do that. How are we going to develop it? But yes, it's brought up at pretty much each and every meeting to have a maintenance plan. Something that we just aren't sure how we're going to address.
What's the life expectancy on that? That gets a lot of play, but when they first installed it,
When we first got it, it said 10 to 12 years, but they really didn't know because it's new, and they haven't had the time to have the research of data on it because it's new, and I believe it would be a lot, 15 to 18 years, because
I hope you're right.
You keep up the maintenance on it, and, the guys that come back that install it are amazed at how well it's still in good shape. I mean,
Well,
it's never does this fall. They don't know, but, I am working with other committees too, like the athletic subcommittee, school, Rita and I are on to come up with a plan, because they use it too, and we're just trying to come up with an idea of even the youth groups. So everybody puts in this amount a year, and just do it that way and then have it.
I'm glad you're thinking about it, so it's good.
Yeah, it's brought up at every.
You and you guys
pretty
do a
much every
terrific job of
meeting.
maintaining it, so appreciate
Yeah,
that.
that's what we're working on now.
Right.
Mr. Briscoe?
Just going along with what you were asking in regards to sort of putting away a little rainy day money for the future of the field, which becomes a challenge for you, I assume, right? Because it's an enterprise fund and you can only hold so much money.
Well, it's a challenge because generally we're about a break even. Every time we come across our budget, we're asking the town to help subsidize 2 salaries, so to have any extra, we'd have to work with the town and say, well, we still want the 2 salaries, but we're gonna put this money away because we really feel that we'd have to work with them saying, can it be put in a specific account that would be specific to
Is that possible?
the improvement for it.
Nobody stabilization fund.
Right, so that's the thing, like, when we get to that position, we'd absolutely be working
I
with
knew there was
Liz
a
and,
reason. I don't remember exactly what it was, but
yeah,
that makes sense.
on that to see how we'd work that through. We have to sit there and be ready for use when it came time.
Thank you. Mr. Valley-Fox, the recreation budget?
They reviewed it with Liz and certainly recommended as it is been presented to the board this evening.
Thank you, Maureen.
You are welcome, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks. Nice
For all
job.
your efforts, everyone's efforts. And the artists. Finance Department.
As promised.
Yes, and this, there was a minor change to our services. There was a step increase that wasn't
I think it may be that night. You're up, aren't
Do
you?
you want me to get up? Or can I?
You can sit there. We'll let you sit there.
Why would we sit there?
Ready?
We're just sitting here, just holding our breath, waiting for you to begin. Go ahead.
Good evening. So I'm here to present the finance department and the accounting department. As you know, the accounting department is responsible for having free cash certified on a timely basis annually. Also, we are responsible for coordinating the annual preparation of the tax rate setting with the assessor's office. We also are responsible for the annual audit that takes place, the preparation of the budget with assistance of the town administrator's office, as well as the capital improvement plan with the capital improvement planning committee. We also have many initiatives going on with implementing and converting to a fully integrated financial management system, and basically anything else that is needed on a regular basis. So my accounting department budget that I have submitted in front of you, for the most part, is level funded, besides for two line items, which would be professional services and training and education. So under the professional services line, I'm sorry?
No, I was communicating with NORCAM. I just hit my mic.
Okay.
I think it caused him a problem. So, sorry.
Professional services line item, I'm asking for $25,000 for contract work for our department. It was discussed last year, and we discussed it this year with the town administrator, that we really need assistance. We need help. We need a financial analyst or someone that can help us pick up extra items that have been added. We added a lot of benefits last year, the year before last, and we're coming to find out that those benefits need to be reconciled. We've had a lot of issues with the company, and that's a large task for, yes, my staff could do it, I could do it, but it's the time. It's the, amount of time that it takes to reconcile that. So that's an example of what this person would do.
What kind of benefits, Liz, are we talking about?
Employee benefits, withholdings, different insurances that we've added. But we're also finding that we need to reconcile dental insurance and life insurance to make sure that the company that is providing those services has the right amount of employees listed, and we have the right amount listed, that we are deducting from employees that have these benefits, or vice versa, if they have somebody that, if we are deducting from somebody and they're not on the bill. So that's just one example of what this person could do. We have a lot of other tasks that, take a lot of extra time that we don't have right now, especially with going through the conversion of Munis.
Mr. O'Leary?
Would a lot of these functions be categorized as more HR-related than finance?
Actually, no, you need an accountant to reconcile the benefits to understand the general ledger effect of it. So it would be somebody that is well-versed in not just benefit reconciliation, but also financial ledger reconciliation.
Okay, and you're talking about contract services right now, or ideally would you like to have additional staff?
Well, ideally, I would like to have additional staff, but I'm being conservative for the whole picture of what an additional employee would do to the town, not just salary-wise, but benefit-wise. So the whole package is a large increase, so.
You're talking about half, three-quarter person, half-time, three-quarter?
3/4 would be ideal, or, full-time.
What you're asking for is $25,000, so
This
that's,
is to get started.
so we can anticipate further requests, okay.
Well, I'm willing if, I'll take a person. I'm just not
Would you?
trying, I'm not trying to be greedy.
Should have asked for two.
Yeah,
End up with the one.
But you come back with the one. No.
So,
Mr. Prisco.
No, this is exactly the same discussion I brought up last year. Right? When we went through your budget, it was clear to me that you're understaffed. When you look at all the level of activity that's going on through there and what the level of staff you have, it's just completely offset. And I asked us to consider it last year, and it didn't really go anywhere. And we continue to let the tasks go up, and your staff continue to get maxed, and we're not as effective. So sooner or later, we have to make the decision. We just can't continue to keep on forcing more out of less.
I think there's certain areas of town hall we need to step up and
This is one.
add staff or a consultant like you're asking for. Let me ask you this, in terms of Munis, that's well underway, you have a ways to go, but once that's fully implemented, and maybe 2-3 years from now, but what do you anticipate you need would be at that point for this consultant that you're asking for now?
sure. This employee or this contractor, however we want to say it, wouldn't really, these tasks are still going to be needed even with Munis, because the new Munis modules are more affect my assessing and treasury collection departments, and also De Carnevale's water department. So,
But maybe I didn't ask the question correctly, though. So, but
Free up time.
whose time gets freed up? Is it just yours once Munis is fully
Yes,
implemented?
yes.
Okay, so it doesn't, the need will continue to be there
Exactly,
as you move
right,
forward? Okay.
right.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Foch?
Just another question on Munis, if I may. You brought up water department. At what point do you see water bills going to Munis?
we were discussing October as the go live.
Okay. And from what I understand, and this is another discussion I want to have later on, but I don't know if you were privy to some emails I sent today. They'll have the ability that if we don't read in a certain time frame, that they'll be able to adjust the tiers in the
Yes.
billing?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Do we continue, or is this?
Well, do we want to have any more discussion about it, or are we going to just hold off discussion? I'm really asking the board.
Personally, there's a need, and it's been a long-standing need down in finance and accounting, and I would support it.
Support what?
What she's asking for in terms of $25,000 for a contracted person.
Actually, I'd like to
Talking about the
hold
hiring
that
a person.
we actually task the finance director to look at two scenarios: contracted services and hire out and have an organic staff. Make the investment and hire a full-time person for that department. Because there's a lot more, I mean, you're gonna hire a consultant to do an individual task, but there's a lot more that's not getting done. We talked about it last year.
Well, it is getting done. It's just, it takes me away from higher level
Only
things.
so many hours in the day.
Things
so
that
many
I
days
could
in the
be
week.
doing. So I'm doing things that, and it's not beneath me or anything like that, but I'm doing things that a staff person should do, and it's not that my staff can't do it, it's just, it's the time that it takes to do it. So, my staff is more than willing to, do things that are above and beyond and outside of their jobs, but it's only, they need to do their job as well, and then these additional tasks, somebody has to pick up, so.
Something else?
Oh, yeah, I do it, but I'll let Mr.
Mr.
Fode.
Fode?
Do you have a follow-up to that?
No, it's in addition to it.
Okay. So you're talking about all these additional tasks that everybody else is taking on, and I'm sure they're doing a great job of it. Is there enough, though, to support a full-time person?
Absolutely. I can put together, you know, a bullet point of basically a job description of what this position would entail.
Where would that fall within our employee contract as far as a level of staff person and expertise from a salary range? Where would that fall? Entry level?
In the current structure
Or would it be
of
an
my
entry-level
division?
position, or would it be, you know, someone who would be above the current staffing levels? In other words, you promote someone from within and bring someone else in at the lower staffing level?
I don't see it. I see it that it would be finance director, assistant finance director, financial analyst, and then my administrative assistant.
It's a financial analyst position would be a full-time, would be the full-time position that you're looking for.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
And as far as the salary range, what do we, just give us a guesstimate?
You know, those type of positions, you go,
Task.
you know, 50,000.
And you're talking finger in the dike, $25,000, get a consultant in here to stem the tide a bit and still assume some of the responsibilities yourself.
Right.
Briscoe.
Kind of goes along with that is, and we've brought this up for the last several years, is we talked about going to bi-weekly payroll, which I think would have some level of effect in a positive for you, right?
I think it trickles through all these departments when you talk about postage that increases and so forth, but
Well, we are
I'm
taking.
on board with you.
We're taking care of it. We're not taking care of the biweekly issue, but they're with employee self-service, which is a new Munis module that is being rolled out within this fiscal year. That's going to save us money on the aspect of buying direct deposited devices, which you would think wouldn't be expensive, but we just looked at it and I believe it was $3,000 for how many? 12,000. Okay, so I mean, it's expensive for just the paper alone, never mind it when we have to mail them out. So we are addressing that issue, reducing those costs slightly. But
Well, I'd like to see us make the investment and make the transition. It's time. And the school department seems to be doing it very effectively. You know, I don't see why the whole town across the board shouldn't be at that level now. And I think that will add some level of efficiency within your
Are
department as well.
you talking about bi-weekly as well as direct deposit, or are you talking just bi-weekly?
Why, we're not doing direct deposit now?
No.
I don't
Choice.
think everyone's,
By choice.
I don't think everyone's on direct deposit, but.
That's not mandatory.
I'm in favor of both, requiring
Yeah.
bi-weekly as
I
well
thought
as
we
direct
already were.
deposit.
that it requires labor negotiations.
But I think that's what
Well-
we have to do.
Timing seems
I
to be
don't know
pretty
whether
good.
it's-
You did
You
try
are
it a
fi-
few years ago.
I mean, I think that's what we need to do. I mean, you just look at your escalating cost associated with mailing things out, paper that you just talked about, and even for your vendors.
Yeah.
Why, vendors, there's no negotiation there, just
Mhm.
require them to accept a direct deposit.
Mhm.
I think you
We
cut
don't
down-
need to do a weekly vendor warrant.
Amen.
That's by choice. That's just been in place.
Yeah, I would just implement that, however you want to do it. Bi-weekly for them, monthly, however you want to structure that, and just do it. Direct deposit it.
Mr. Chairman, in this budget proposal, I would like to see those things incorporated, you know, at least be considered for us to incorporate those level of expenses to accomplish this. I'd like to see the proposal that Liz can come up with this additional position as well.
Accomplish, I'm getting a mixed message here, so we're talking about one new person as far as a financial analyst.
Right.
And then we're talking about bi-weekly payroll, we're talking about vendor payroll, and then vendor
Yeah.
expenses, and we're also talking about direct deposits as opposed to cutting checks, and so
Right.
we've got about 3 or 4 issues here.
Probably 6, but.
Maybe, yeah, but,
Well-
so what are we looking to, I mean.
That's what the
I-
objectives are, right? I mean, we're trying to create the objectives in this department for the next year.
Well, I thought we were talking about contract employee,
Oh, we're talking
financial
about a bunch of
analyst at first, and I don't think we've resolved that yet. Or a new
Well-
employee at twice the cost, plus benefits going forward to meet the needs.
I don't think you can resolve it until we give Ms. Pavallo an opportunity to go out and do the research on what type of position it could be.
Well, I think,
Work
I
on
think the
what
issue
the
is.
estimated salaries could be,
I think
the
the issue-
impact on the town.
Yeah, I think the issue is, one, does this board support the addition of one other staff person in finance?
Yeah, we just don't know what it is though, right? Wouldn't you want
No,
to see?
no,
what
the concept, I think it's the concept.
Oh,
The
okay.
concept.
All right, that's fine.
Does the board support the additional staff person in finance? That's one. And then I do think you have these other laundry list of things that should be looked at in terms of cost-saving measures that could assist in support of an additional staff person. Yes.
With regard to that, that seems to be more like a board proposal than the finance director's proposal. I like a submission to do it on contract, get on the backside of the conversion. I, for one, am expecting productivity payback on the Munis investment down the road. So it may not be the best time to pick permanent staffing.
That's where I was at first, Dan, and then that's why I asked the question about, once Munis is fully implemented, is that going to free up someone's time to take on more of these tasks? You come in with the contract person to see where that gets us, but that's when the response was, it's really not going to help with full implementation of Munis. Those duties and tasks are still going to be there, so.
The task for my division, meaning just accounting, for these Munis implementations that we're going through right now is, I would say, 90% my time and 10% my assistant's time.
Mhm.
And that's only just because I'm considered the functional leader of these projects, so I'm fully involved in them. So after that point, it will free me up, but it will just free me up to do my regular duties. You know, right now, the Munis implementation is a full-time job in itself,
I'm sure it is.
so.
Mr. Valiakonis, any thoughts?
I think I've expressed before that I'd like to work with Liz in terms of staffing in her office. I'm not sure that adding a position at this time is something that I've considered, but we do want to provide her with additional help that was suggested this evening.
Where's the board at? Mr. Fode?
I mean, there's no doubt that there's a need for additional help in that department. You know, we rely on your advice on this, and you know, the finance director requested, and I understand why, a part-time person. Maybe it might make sense to bring that part-time person in for the first year, for the next fiscal year, see how much gets accomplished, and then come back and say, you know, we do have a need for the additional time also to make it a full-time position as opposed to jumping right into it full. And I'm not questioning the fact that you do need,
Right.
you do need the help. I just don't, I'm not to the point where I don't know how much,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
That is why, you know, we thought about it, and, you know, it would be great to just put a new position and be done with it, but I wasn't, you know, gonna do that the first year, especially, you know, with a tight budget season and all that. So to accomplish the task that we have an immediate need for, that's why I was a contractor. But very easily, I could put together a job description of lengthy list of items that go undone that this person would do. So
I think I could support contract person, but give you more than what you're asking for. You're asking for 25,000, but I think that's a little low. Probably get productivity out of this person. So, if the budget would support it, I'd support up to $40,000 for you to bring in a contract person. Mr. Fode, then Mr. O'Leary.
Liz, what would you get out of this person, 25,000? I mean, it's time-wise, what, is the anticipation you're gonna get 20 hours a week for the full 52 weeks, or?
probably 15 hours a week for the full 52 weeks.
I think based on that, I wouldn't be opposed to agreeing to that, to maybe increasing that more to get you at least 20 or 25 hours. And then seeing where it goes from there and decide, make a decision on a full-time position next year.
Mr. O'Leary?
I'm halfway in between where we need to be, I think. No, which is, you know, I'm in favor of the contract employee in order to get us caught up. But, you know, I'm also leaning towards a part-time additional position without benefits, so hours less than benefits in order to get someone in and acclimated. And as we transition and catch up and can transition, then you may have someone on staff to move up. And again, that way we're transitioning ourselves also to a full-time person and not bringing someone in all at once.
But
You know, so, and again, if we're gonna contract out, the contractor is obviously gonna work for some other firm probably.
There's people in this industry, you know, that just do contract work and they work for themselves too.
Right, so, you know, to me, I think a combination of the two, from a cost standpoint, it's more than the 25,000, it might be the 40 that you're looking for, that you were suggesting. But it would also get someone else on staff without benefits at this particular point in time to pick up the additional hours. So we'll basically get a full-time equivalent between the contract employee and a full-time employee, and then transition into the full-time position as needed, depending upon, you know, how the workload goes. And then, whether it be this year and next year, the contract employee, you know, and then as the munis is fully implemented, we'll have a better feel for responsibilities within the finance department and how we transition over.
So you're saying two people?
I'm talking about 25,000 contract professional services, and then, would it be less than 18 hours?
Yes.
But-
At 19,
I'm sorry?
19 and a half?
Yes. It's just, it has to be under 20, so
20, right.
however you
So
wanna.
someone, you know, under 20 hours, additional staff, under 20 hours, and again, depending upon what level of services we're looking at least then we're not locked into, it's the benefits packages that we have to worry about, adding additional costs, substantial costs right off the bat as we take on new personnel. But what it does is it addresses the needs of the finance department in two ways. You know, one with a contract employee, no benefits, and a part-time employee, no benefits. And then as Munis is fully implemented, I agree with Dan, I was expecting some economies of scale here where we're gonna realize some sort of savings in relation to, you know, staff personnel's time. Then we can better assess how we can allocate our human resources within the within the department, once that's fully implemented. In the meantime, we still have a lot of stuff that needs to be done, and we have a department head that's devoting a significant amount of time to something that staff personnel should be doing. So,
It's actually not a bad idea, only given the fact that, like you said, you know, Munis taking up so much of your time. That contract employee may be something that you only need for, you know, their expertise may be something that you only need for a year or two or something like that. And then it's actually not a bad idea, because then you bring that part-time position to where it needs to be after that contract employee is no longer
and
needed.
just shift it from professional services to the payroll side. And again, it allows us to transition, as Michael's looking for, maybe not on the same timeline, which is immediate needs, but transition over a 2, 3, 4 year period.
What do you think of that idea, Liz? Only because if the options were having one full-time position that you're asking for, or, I mean, I think it makes sense because now you have more of a person who's, the contract employee, you can hire what you need only for a certain period of time, and then,
Expertise.
I think it's.
Yeah, and then, and again, I'd like to get a better feel for how your personnel is going to be utilized once Munis is fully implemented, and then we talk about that. And again, then we're not talking about benefits either. So if the full-time person right now, I'm reluctant to support. Not that you were even offering it as a suggestion. And again, I don't disagree that we need it, but I'm not there yet because of the total costs associated with that. But I know we need people with expertise and time to devote to the responsibilities that are there. So I think the combination of the two gets us there sooner And again, provides us a little more flexibility 2-3 years down the road to transition once we have a better feel for what Munis has done for us.
What's our risk for bringing a part-time person on that doesn't work out?
What's that?
The risk to bringing a part-time person on that does not work out.
What is the risk? It's the same thing as if you hired a full-time person and didn't work out.
No, I know, but
Yeah.
there's a risk versus just having a contract person.
Contract is easier, you
I know.
know,
There's no liability if the person doesn't work out. Just don't retain their services.
Same thing
There's
with
a
a
cost associated with
no,
the
part-time
part-time person.
individuals that are working out, based upon evaluation, you dismiss them and move on, you know?
I don't know if we just move on.
it's easier
Get
said
someone
than
else.
done.
Just don't move on. That's why I'm a little reluctant to go with the two. I'd rather give you more for the contract person in the first year and see how that works out. Mr. Prisco,
Actually, you know
Mr.
what, I think,
hold on.
I'm sorry,
Let's go
I
ahead.
apologize.
Okay. I'd like to see a little work done on it, that's all. I'd like to see, maybe put it on paper, what it looked like for a full-time employee, one, what it would look like for a part-time employee with the combination of Mr. O'Leary's proposing. But I am starting to tend to agree with Mr. Delaney on this, that I'd rather see the one individual, the investment there, and at least it sounds like the whole board is in agreement that we need to do something in this fiscal year budget. There's no doubt. So why don't we just give her an opportunity to do a little bit of analysis, and then once we see it on paper, maybe it'll be pretty clear to us. And it'll give you a little more time to think about it. I mean, I just hit you with this cold, so I apologize.
No, that's okay. I would be more than willing to prepare the 3 different scenarios and submit them before the March 17th meeting.
And I'd like to see that with your position description of the things you're looking to do.
Yes. Mhm.
I think that is gonna be a little helpful too in us making a decision.
Mhm. I will do that.
Thank you. Anything further in your budget?
So just the second increase to a line item is training and education. And the $500 increase is just due to, since we have so many Munis initiatives that are ongoing and will be, you know, then continuous, they offer an annual conference, and that averages about $700. So that's why it's an increase of $500, because there is $200 that seems to not go used. So.
Okay. Mr. Prisco?
And the other thing that kind of stuck out to me in your budget was the salaries, specifically your salary. And I went back and looked at all the other department heads that have presented to us so far, and we've already put an increase in their budgets for their salary, but for some reason hers is 0. So I wanted to ask the town administrator, what's the reasoning for that?
Has an independent contract and is subject to an annual performance review. When the review is given, the money will be taken from the salary pool and added to a budget. And if that review is done in advance of town meeting, we'll put the money in the budget.
So all the other department heads' reviews are done, and that's the only one that you have left to do, is that, or is it just a timing one?
The other departments receive a cost of living increase versus a merit. In other words, the department budgets have cost of living increases budgeted in them where they might be appropriate, but any merit increases would not be included in the budget.
Okay. Well, I'd like to see it in this budget. I don't know how long it takes to pull that off, but it would make sense for us to, assume the finance department would like to, FinCom would like to see this budget wrapped up.
I guess now I'm a little confused. All right, so there's 2 aspects. There's a merit increase and a COLA increase.
Right.
And so the COLA increases obviously are in the budget, whatever.
Where they might be appropriate.
Contractually, whether someone has a standalone contract or if someone is part of either a union contract or a non-union union contract.
We
So-
establish in the salary pool an amount for merit increases.
Okay.
That amount is not earmarked for a particular department, it is held as a whole, as
Okay.
part of the salary pool. When a merit increase is awarded, then the monies are transferred from the salary pool into the department budget to make that budget come out and become whole.
All right, so, but there are some budgets here in which department heads have received a merit increase or will receive a merit increase, and it's reflected in
That's
the budget
correct.
for FY15.
No, it would have been where they had previously received the merit increase prior to the budget being submitted.
Okay. Okay. All right.
And that's all, again, timing based when the employee's anniversary date is
Yep.
and when they undergo a review.
Okay. Anything further, board members? Finance Committee? Anything further on the finance, accounting, budget?
The Finance Committee had budgets that you're looking at tonight earmarked for our last week's meeting. Unfortunately, we had 2 people who were ill, so we didn't have a minion, and we could not hold our meeting. It'll be done this Thursday.
That's fine. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that.
I wonder if anybody got homework.
Ms. Paveo, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Ms. McKay, Treasurer Collector's Budget.
Hello.
Good evening.
Which one would you like to start off with?
Your preference.
Okay.
Pick one.
All right, well, let's start with the treasurer. The treasurer, because that one's easy. That one, the only change in that is the increase to my assistant's salary due to cost of living. So it went up $110 from this year to next year. And that's the only increase. The department head stipend, that's just my stipend. The majority of my salary gets paid through my collector's budget.
Next.
My collector's budget. Actually, my budget actually went down this year due to, I do have a staff member that is retiring, and she is at the top of the contract. She's at the top salary cap step. So the new person coming in will be at the lower step, so my budget actually went down. The only items that I did increase in the budget was postage, due to the postage going up. And then professional services, that's for my tax title. I went up $2,000 on that, and on my postage, I went up $1,800. And then repairs and maintenance, because of, we have service contracts that have gone up. And my dues and maintenance, because of the new person coming in, if they go to meetings, I have to register them, so they have to pay the dues.
Board members, any questions?
Just on the stipend.
Mr. Prisco.
So Maureen gets a stipend, and is that the same stipend you get?
Maureen does get a stipend for being the assistant. My stipend's because for being treasurer.
Okay. So
And-
the assistant stipend is just to be assistant, there's nothing else?
Correct, because when the contract was negotiated, they ended up putting it into the contract, so they wouldn't be getting paid additional amount when we're not here. I know other contracts, they do get a percentage when we're not here.
And yours is, the certification stipend is not for certification then? It's-
No, the treasury one is just to be the treasurer. And then I do have a stipend for being certified.
Okay. Got it, thank you.
Finance Committee? I know you didn't meet last week, but there's 3 of you back there.
Yeah, no questions.
Any- No questions?
But again, thank you for your efforts in keeping up with tax title and all the rest. I mean, over the last few years, you've done a terrific job of staying way ahead of it.
Thank you,
So
yeah,
that's great.
we're at, right now, we have 24 outstanding. Last year, at this time, we had 84, so.
Great work.
Thank
Yeah.
you, thank you.
Very good.
Thank you.
I just had one of your accomplishments that I didn't see, and maybe it's a combination with you and Deb, is, you know, it's one of my pet peeves, this whole income and expense and getting those forms in. But you guys have together done a great job with increasing that from when I first got here, which was around the 10-15%. Now you're getting it somewhere around the 70, maybe 75% of those forms coming in.
That's actually through the assessing department.
Okay, so you don't
She's-
get those forms, do you? I wasn't sure where
No,
to
no,
find,
that's
but
actually through the assessing department.
it should definitely be an accomplishment, at least in one of you, so that was a great effort. Thank you.
You can take a bow in a minute.
Yeah, right. Mr. Valiakonis?
No questions.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mary Ann.
Thank you.
Ms. Carboni on the assessors budget? Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Okay. Thank you for the compliment, Mike.
Oh,
I
it's
did
a lot
say
of work.
thank you. I was just very quiet.
Really?
A lot of work.
I'm always quiet. I'd like to start off tonight by saying thank you to my girls, Debbie and Sherry. And the reason I want to say thank you to them, the assessing office, between their hard work and dedication for it being a revaluation year and the increase in tax rate, this year, the number of abatements for real estate were 27. Personal property was 2. I know a lot of you don't do that every day, so you don't understand. I'm here to tell you it's remarkable. When I first walked in here in 2011, there was 142 real estate, 11 personal property. 2012, we have 57 real estate, 5 personal property. In 2013, now I got to tell you, remind you, the tax rate went from 1438 to 1604. We had 64 abatements for real estate and 8 for personal property. So I just want to take that moment to thank them, because it is their true dedication and hard work up at the counter, talking to the taxpayers, the numerous phone calls, and just explaining. So to me, that tells me they're learning their job. They're understanding their position and the importance of that department. So I just want to take a moment and say thank you to them.
Mr. If I may,
Sure.
those are actual abatements?
Those are actual.
How many out of those, how many more applications do you get for, or requests?
Those
do you
are the
get?
number of applications.
Oh, that's, okay. That's-
Yes.
Okay.
Those are the total number of applications. And I can tell you, in this little quadrant of the state, we're the lowest. Because all the meetings I'm getting, how'd you only have 27 applications?
You're not telling any secrets.
No, of course not. I wouldn't reveal that.
Good job.
So, hats off to my girls. All right, let's start by the program description on the operating budget. The assessing office does valuation, classification, and assessment of all real and personal property for the purpose of taxes. We create approximately 70% of the tax revenues that are collected for the town. With that being said, this year, and we've all established that Munis has become a full-time job with this implementation. So that is the reason for my increase in professional services. What I'm looking at to ensure that we have a timely tax rate, I'm looking for assistance for the revaluation, which is, I don't know if it's broken down in my budget that you have there. It's $12,000. I want to elaborate on the interim adjustment because that's what it's called from Department of Revenue. An interim adjustment is only a mini revaluation. We still have to analyze every single piece of property. I have 204 sales that I have to inspect to establish what the land in the town is selling for, what a colonial is selling for, what a ranch is selling for. An interim adjustment, which is the periods between the revaluation, the actual full revaluation, their interim adjustments, and their mini revals. I cannot ensure that I can get that tax rate set timely with everything else on our plate this year. I mean, we're gonna try. We work hard. And the other increase was the $1,200, and that's strictly for Munis for the preliminary tax bill. And when I say preliminary tax bill, I mean the file, because it's my state CAMA file, appraisal system, that has to be imported into Munis to create these bills. So that, I know it seems kind of crazy that I'm asking for something in 2016, but our budgets are not going to be set for May of 2015, which is when I'll be doing that file. So I had to think ahead. The only other additional charges I have on here are some of the dues and memberships have gone up. My state CAMA has gone up, and my assessing association fees went up. And that was an increase of, 300, is it 360? I didn't put that.
Not a budget buster.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it's
I think it's 360. 1,070, I'm sorry.
Oh, gee, I take that back.
That's a budget
I
bust.
take that back.
So that's where we're at right now. I do want to emphasize, I do have some concerns. I have grave concerns with getting a tax rate set timely and getting everything done this year. It's been double duty. Any questions?
Grave concerns?
Grave. Yeah. Will it get done? Yeah, Steve, it will get done because it always gets done. But how I want it done with every T crossed and every I dotted. You know why? Because that's my taxpayers' tax bills out there. I go through that file line to line. This is my 4th conversion. I vowed on the 3rd one I'd never do another one. I had no intention about talking about that tonight, but here I stand. Grave, yes, yes, yes. Will it get done? We'll get it done. It will happen. But what will sacrifice to get it done? Where can we sacrifice? There's no room in that office to sacrifice.
No, so that, I guess that leads to my question. You know, what's going to get sacrificed and what do we have to be concerned about?
What I'm asking for is the help, because the interim adjustment takes me from the end of July.
Is that what you're requesting?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
I'm good.
The interim adjustment is going to help me because that's going to free up all my time to make sure I have at least 3 to 4 weeks in the month of May that I have to get the tax file for the preliminary bill. Then all the permits have to get done, all the I&Es have to get analyzed, all the rest of the daily work gets done. And then in September, I gotta start on that tax file again.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that what you're requesting takes care of the grave concerns.
Yes.
Okay, that's good.
Mr. Prisco.
So the request is for additional $19,800
In total.
in total. So in this budget statement that you made, I don't quite get the figures to tie up, so maybe you can,
They're a little off.
yeah.
Okay,
They are a little-
where are you looking at?
The professional services, where you talk about the assessing staff will need assistance during the munis conversion.
Okay.
If you add those numbers up,
I have 25,030, and that's 12,000 for the interim adjustment. Munis is 1,200, and the cyclical and the utility stays at 10,830. 10,830 is what I asked for in, I believe in FY14, I got cut 10,530. That cyclical is very important.
Deb, it's not adding up. It's not connecting. No. I think there may be a little, between your spreadsheet and between what you wrote and what you're saying, actually the three.
Yeah.
Unless I'm missing, unless someone else is coming up with the
I
right
think it's
number.
off.
And
Just by a couple
did you add in the utilities? Because the utilities are I put it on Excel as well. I don't have, I
You
didn't
don't
have
have
a
your
Munis
spreadsheet that you
login to do this.
Do you have your spreadsheet that you submitted with the?
Right,
Yeah, right there.
No, that's not the one.
This one right
This.
here. Yeah, this is what they're looking at.
Yeah.
Right, so this
I only
is
have my
30,000.
If I take 10,
Yeah, but see
8,
the
30,
19,800.
12, 1, and
Submitted
2.
department request was 30,000.
It's off by like $1,200.
Yeah, it's.
Okay, this,
I just don't want you to get shortchanged. I want you to
Okay.
get what you need. And I think you need to go back and maybe tie them two together and get the right numbers in the spreadsheet.
I'd have to look at that list, because I got 25,030 on everything.
This is what was emailed.
Okay, I'll take a look at it.
And then I had one other question on your,
So can we just agree on a number? I'm sorry.
oh, yeah.
I think that number should be $31,530
That's what I got.
under professional services.
That's the number I came up with too.
That total number? Deb, would you agree with me?
Yes.
Okay.
It's more, do you agree?
So it's.
Well, I still have to go back and try to figure out where, because I got 25,030 on everything.
Trying to help
but-
you out.
This is your submission sent on 1/16. So this is, you requested 30,330. That's your submission. This is your email.
All right.
And I have one more question. On the assessing personal cost, you have 3 individual numbers for the ladies that work for you, including yourself. So it's a 2310, 2100, and 2000. What are those?
Mike, can
Stipends.
you, where are
There's
you?
assessor stipends.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, for the board,
Yep.
for the board.
Those are stipends, okay. So it didn't say it on there, so I wasn't sure what they were. So these are stipends.
The 6410, right?
That's the
Yes,
total.
6410, that's correct.
Yeah.
It
that's
didn't
for the
have a
board.
description, so I was
Right.
just curious what they were. So it's stipends. Thank you.
Any other questions?
No, we're good. I think, again, it's good for you for acknowledging your staff's work, because they've done a great job.
They've worked hard, and those numbers show it.
Finance Committee? Sitting
Thursday.
silently, very good. Mr. Valiakonis?
No further comments.
Didn't want to wake you up, I'm sorry. Mr.
No
Valiakonis?
further comments.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Nice job.
This is Prenny, Elder Affairs. Nice to see you.
Well, gentlemen, on a lighter note,
If I
Oh,
may,
yeah.
on a lighter
if
note.
I may
Oh,
just
oh.
interrupt
may.
Mary for one moment. There was a step increase that was not reflected in the original budget packet. So Mr. Valiakonis has that for to insert into your books, as well as that's reflected in the latest 225 budget that was in Dropbox.
When it gets added, do you delete the prior one? So
Sure,
I
if you,
just-
I thought you wanted those there for historical purposes.
No, you can delete it. Thank you.
Okay.
Just the most up to date.
Okay.
Makes it easier for me.
What I'm
to
doing is
go.
I've got so many notes in the original one, I'm just trying to incorporate all your changes manually. Because I have too many notes, I don't want to have two files. Thank you.
It's better to catch the problems
Oh, yeah,
now
no,
rather
it's,
than.
it's understandable, that's
later.
the way this process is supposed to work.
No, wait.
Sorry for interrupting
Wait,
you.
No, those are yours.
All,
Don't give them away, those are all yours.
all three?
All of them.
Roger that. Got it.
Sorry for the
Sorry, you
disruption,
don't get any.
gentlemen.
Not a problem, not a problem.
Can have mine.
We can
No,
adjust.
we'll give it Bob's, because Bob doesn't use paper.
Actually, the second one's easier to read, so.
You don't need them?
Am I on?
It is.
Am I on?
You're on.
Okay, as you
Wait a
can
minute.
see,
Oh,
my
wait, yes.
department is requesting almost level funding, except for an additional $500 for van repairs, which is basically a guesstimate. I have requested a new
Hang on,
van.
hold on, van repairs, what if, I thought you wanted a new van?
I did, I'm not finished.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I
I
have-
apologize for it.
Does that mean I
Don't
have a
open
new
that door,
van?
Mr.
Are you
Fode.
telling
Now you're in
secrets?
trouble.
Oh, boy.
Now you're in
Oh,
trouble.
wow, that's nice to hear. I have requested a new van again this year, but if that request does not come into fruition, there will be some money that needs to be spent on the van. And I have no way of knowing what repairs will be or what will be needed. Last year at this time, when I thought we were getting a new van, we had just replaced brakes and tires at the end of last year when that request was denied. So maybe I am getting a good van. I can tell by that look.
I'm just one person. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Wow, you are bad. Let down.
Oh, God.
He's
I'm
throwing-
almost elderly,
He's
you know.
throwing
No,
you
I just-
under the van. You get that, gentlemen?
Got
In
it.
a couple of weeks, I'm
We're
able
with you.
to join
That's good.
You got your AARP card already?
in 2 weeks, so.
Oh, very good, thank you. As you all know, our department represents 20.7% of North Reading residents, and some of the residents are the most frail and poorest members of our community. Now, this is an interesting fact. According to our 2010 U.S. Census, we had an increase from the year 2000 of 34.4% of residents 60 and older, and an increase of 57.7% of people 85 years and older. To me, which means that North Reading is a good place to live and live well, and older people are thriving in the community. Although I do believe that the town faces and will continue to face problems with the lack of transportation and housing to meet the needs of this ever-growing population. Again this year, our partnership with Mystic Valley Elder Services has enabled 35 of our residents who would be nursing home eligible to remain in their home, which is a wonderful thing. We have received around $590,000 worth of various services that not only help these 35 residents, but many other elderly residents be safe in town. We also provided with these monies over 15,000 meals, both at the senior center and home delivered. Bless you. Because of this relationship with Mystic Valley and our local fire department, we established a Retire the Fire program this year. Our meals driver personally went out and hand-delivered 50 letters to different residents. And these were all homebound seniors, asking if they had working smoke alarms and carbon monoxide detectors, and if any of them needed help in testing these devices. The response was amazing because it was a one-on-one hand delivery. We had almost a 95% return. Some of these people were living in public housing and some were living in apartment complexes. But approximately 20 of these seniors requested a visit from the fire department. Firefighter Vinnie Zarello, who is a member of the SAFE program, followed up with these residents. In one home, we placed a carbon monoxide detector in late November. 3 days later, the alarm went off. The flue in the fireplace was filling, and carbon monoxide was filling the house. This was the home of a 94-year-old lady and her elderly disabled son. So this is a good example when caring agencies work together to do good things for their neighbors, which is basically how our department continues to be successful, along with the help of our wonderful staff and the many, many volunteers who actually donate thousands of hours to the senior center. So that's my good example of what happened this year. Any questions?
Very good example.
That was a wonderful thing. And we continue with this program. Every time we get a new meals request, we go out and hand forms out, and Vinnie goes out and he visits the residents. And when we do this, we find other things that seniors may need. So it's a good relationship with all three agencies.
What do you think we can do in terms of transportation? It's just an awful situation. I mean, you must, with your colleagues in other communities, you must discuss this issue.
It is. It's a big problem because if these older people want to stay in town, they don't realize now that there's no way to get from here to there. Most important request is medical transportation. How do they get into Boston? I don't know. We are working closely again with Mystic Valley Elder Services. We do provide a trip program through them, which enables the senior to find someone to drive them back and forth, and in return, they get the small stipend of a mileage. We just met again with myself, Veterans Department, and Dan O'Leary from Mystic Valley to maybe create some other type of services, maybe with other communities whose van is available at what time to take you someplace. The need is there. And it's just a basic quality of life. If they want to go to a movie theater, if they want to go someplace where North Reading doesn't offer transportation, it has that program, you can't get there from here. And housing is another huge concern, because these people want to downsize. These 85-year-olds don't have the money they had when they were 60. Their roofs still need to be repaired. They still need a furnace, so they still want to stay in North Reading. They build this community. They build the Little League fields. They build the schools. They build the churches. So they just want to downsize a bit and have it more affordable. So housing is another issue that's going to be very important to this community as we go forward.
What type of housing? We're talking...
Affordable, practical housing. You know, we don't want something where people have to walk up 3 flights, something that's not too big, where people don't have to shovel their driveways, mow their lawns, or a mixed community.
I'm almost there. I need that too.
We all, after this
Shoveling
winter,
and
we
mowing.
all need this. We all need someone to do it
Look
for
at that.
us. But we have to be prepared, because, you know, people aging in place, they don't want to move, and we want to keep them here. And that basically what makes an entire community. And we're all in it together. And I just heard this great saying, and I think I texted it to Mike a while back just by accident. What's good for old age is good for all ages. And we have to look towards the future, and what plan does North Reading have for the humanitarian future? What are we going to do? And we have to look at what we can do and what we can make this a good community. Because they're staying, the numbers are here. So. Discussion for another time?
Yeah, well, it has to continue, because we need to find solutions. I mean,
Yeah, we
for
have
all
to
those
find
issues.
solutions, because
We
now
really
the
do.
people who are actually aging, the new 60-year-olds, the 70-year-olds, these are the same.
Turning 60?
These-
She looked at you, though.
These are the same people
Thank
who,
you.
you know, wanted their schools. They were fighting for their schools. They were fighting for this. Are still going to say, okay, well, I want to stay here. What's here for me? So the numbers are coming, and they want things to happen. And I hope they do unite and get together as a group to do as well as the school people did to build their new schools and their new soccer fields and their new Little League fields, because the numbers are here.
In regards to the transportation, is there any opportunity to work with another town, maybe share the expense? Like with Linfield, I mean, it seems like they have a lot of transportation.
Oh, everybody has a lot of vans, and some of the COAs, they don't go out of town. One of the things we're thinking is to be able to share vans, so we can say on Tuesdays, our van's not going to be busy, so we're going to leave from North Reading, we're going to go to Reading, and we're going to go to Stoneham, and pick anyone up who may be going to Leahy Clinic on a certain day. And these are things we're trying to share, but it comes down to logistics, how you coordinate something like this. This is a big deal to try to coordinate
How do
the
you get people to
transportation.
coordinate their
Yes.
appointments to fit the
Right.
Yeah.
transportation? But,
Right.
yeah, the transportation has to be reliable. Schedule has to be
Absolutely.
reliable.
It has to be reliable. We have the ride, you know, we don't have the ride, but other communities have the ride. But you may have to take the ride at 8 o'clock in the morning for an 11 o'clock appointment
True.
and hang around. And if you're not feeling well, that's a long day.
Long day.
And people get lost.
Yeah.
So we're looking into it, but this is a need.
Well, whatever we can do to assist in those discussions, because I think they're important.
Oh, they're very
I think
important.
It's great to have other communities work
Yeah.
in this area, this
Yeah.
particular area.
So there's always communication going on. Any questions?
Finance Committee? I don't have any questions. Finance Committee? Questions?
I still have everyone's attention. You knew I wasn't finished. I'd like to take the opportunity on this very cold night to remind people in the audience and people at home that the Food Pantry and Christian Community Service are in desperate need of donations. The Food Pantry helps feed over 175 people and elders every year. The number has recently risen with food stamp allocations being cut, and many people feeling the struggle of unemployment funding being stopped as the beginning of this year. Also, CCS helps needy families and elders with fuel assistance, and as you can imagine, this very cold winter, the cost of fuel, how many families are not only going to bed cold, they're staying cold all day long. And unfortunately, soon, and within a couple of weeks, the local electric company and the gas company will be shutting off customers due to non-payment, because legally now they can't. So which will bring an enormous amount of calls to CCS for assistance. So if you're out there or you're in this room, please, if you donated in the past, please donate again, or write a check, or bring non-perishable items to Town Hall, because everyone, they're in desperate need. So,
Thank you.
please pass the word.
It's well worth the extra 30 seconds.
It is all at the extra 30 seconds.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you.
And now we move to library. Mrs. Minton.
Nice.
I think close to all the trustees are here as well.
I'll find it.
Good
They're
evening.
using the manual.
Good evening. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. I'm ready to set up the PowerPoint.
Michael, can you help Helena?
Yeah, sure.
Turn on the,
Absolutely.
projector.
Oh, sorry.
Right, yeah, just the.
Oh, Michael, he's good at that.
Jean got it set up. Jean and Brian, very helpful to us from the IT department.
When you're up.
And Liz,
Show on the light.
she's part of it. Thank you. I'm going to do that.
Good to go.
Thank you.
Cut the close.
Warming up.
Yeah. Hopefully warm up before my toes warm up.
Sorry.
My feet are.
I was going to talk, is that okay? I don't, oh, there, okay.
I think we already had this presentation.
Yes.
right?
Sorry.
What's
Go
up?
ahead.
What's up? You ready to go?
Okay,
Want
you've
to kill
already
one bag of
seen
the
it.
lights?
Yes, sir.
I just thought I'd
Get out
talk,
of the way. Yeah, just get out of the way. Sit down.
No,
I
it's your
just thought
birthday.
I'd talk for a minute first about
Maybe that lost me back on.
Leave one on.
some of the things the library has been doing.
Thank you. Sorry.
No, that's all right.
There we go. That's good.
Let there be light.
Yeah.
Let there be light.
Mary was talking about working with many different organizations and departments, and the library also likes to do that. And one thing we've been doing this year, and actually so has Mary, is work with the middle school. We're all reading the same book, Wonder by R.J. Palacio. Maybe some of you have read it. The library has copies, but they're talking about it, reading it in school on Friday mornings, and people from the town are going in to talk about the book, have discussions, and including Emma Weiler, our youth services librarian. And also this year in the fall, we had a 300th anniversary celebration with several different organizations, including the Historical Society and the Garden Club. Had a wonderful Art in Bloom display inspired by watercolors by Don Doyle. And also the Minutemen and Militia were upstairs on the second floor, and they're trying to create a farm museum. So we were able all to work together. And it was a very exciting afternoon. As one of our trustees, Lorraine Sheehan, said, she's not here this evening, but she said it was a wonderful community event. I think North Reading really appreciates and enjoys town-wide events. And right now we're reading, for our 11th community reading project, we're reading a book called Beautiful Ruins by Jess Walter. We're having discussions of that and programs, and I don't know if you've heard of the book, but it is going to be made into a movie, so you might remember that title. And it's supposed to be, it's going to be a very good movie, I think. We are always trying to keep up with technology. We've been offering iPad workshops and Apple device workshops. We have somebody who comes in to help us with that. And one of the challenges with the technology is that each device has so many new upgrades, so that even the person doing the workshop, he might have one iPad from one generation, other people have, so it's really quite a challenge to help people. And we're also helping them with downloading audiobooks through and ebooks through Overdrive. And another major project that I think we did have talked about with you is making the library a destination that people want to go to, including redoing a part of the first floor called a browsing cafe, and working on that with the trustees. And we're making some progress. It's been taking a while, but so we hope you'll come and visit when that's finished. And the funding we're using is mostly from our state aid, so, and some friends' funds too. And also the children's room is very busy. One of the things that people are very interested in now is something called STEM. I don't know if you, science, technology, engineering, and math, and then if you put an A in, it becomes STEAM, and that's for art. So it's all a lot of hands-on. And we've had some very successful programs, and we're going to continue. There's one called Bedtime Math that little children come to, and they love that with their parents. So I am going to move on to the PowerPoint, but I realize I'd like to introduce everyone who's here with me, the trustees. Sharon Kelleher, our trustee chairman, Catherine Geoffrey and Scanal, Marcy Bailey, Mary Ann Lake, and Judy Seeker, our assistant director. So they may interject comments as we go through the PowerPoint, which is going to look quite familiar because we were here in November. So really what we're doing is just updating you. Now I hope I'm up. I did that. Sorry. You can see, and you see from our Excel spreadsheet too, that we're putting in for the budget for 2 increases, one for the 10 additional hours for the head of circulation, and the other an amount of money to keep the library open 9 more hours. And just should we recap what we talked about with the head of circulation? The position was really a restoration of hours. It was reduced in 02, override, it didn't succeed. And this would start this July and be an additional about $10,000. And the other thing that is happening in July, we told you was going to happen at some point. It's happening starting July, which is the Department of Revenue is using 2012 population figure, which is over 15,000. The way the Mass Board of Library Commissioners operates, they use a standard population figure for all the towns in Massachusetts, 351 towns, and it was 2010 census for several years, even though the town clerk's figure was over 15,000. So we were under 15,000, but now we are going to be over 15, which means we have to be open at least 50 hours. We're currently open 45. And there is a 3-year grace period. So we're asking to have it implemented in July. But if the town felt they couldn't do it, there is some time. But, it's not, the future is here, basically, what we've talked about. This is a proposed schedule which would give us 2 more mornings open, Monday and Wednesday, open at 10 instead of 1 o'clock. Stay open Wednesday night till 8. And I have mentioned this before that just, in the mornings, people are trying to get in. 5 o'clock on Wednesday, somebody comes in planning to do some work, and they say, oh, I forgot that we're closing. And what will this entail? Again, we did talk about this in the fall. We've had 9 hours. It would be a total of 36 additional staff hours, partly with new part-time people under 20 hours, so not benefiting, and to help in the reference department and then in the circulation and children's departments. And even though there is a mandate for this, a state mandate, there's definitely direct benefits of increasing hours.
9 hours. Hours would be consistent, easy to remember, and more customer-friendly. We'll return to a level of service provided 10 years ago, more than 10 years. And we have talked about how we're gotten busier with programs, with helping people with technology, with sharing resources from different libraries. And so we do feel it isn't, it's over and above the mandate. There'd be definitely benefits. And I don't know if any of our trustees or Judy would like to add anything either about the head of circulation or the increase in hours.
Mrs. Bailey.
I'll just add that what we heard from the finance department about additional help. The head of circulation, if you could think of that, I think in kind of the same way that our director and assistant director's days are maybe spent with duties filling in for the circulation director rather than moving technology ahead and being more innovative in the library and keeping up to date. They're just barely keeping up. So that's why we're asking to restore the hours that were cut many years ago for the head of circulation. And when I heard about the finance department's request, it's similar, for similar reasons.
Yeah, definitely rang a bell. I mean, it was the same idea. So.
Board members, anyone? Mr. Prisco.
So the number increase for the additional staff hasn't changed. That's the 50,060. Is it 50,068? Oh, 50,000. That hasn't changed, right?
No.
Are there outside services that could do the job where you help bring in a consultant versus hiring an employee?
Oh, sort of similar to what Liz was saying.
Yeah. We had that, since we had that similar conversation.
Well, you could do it in a temporary way, I think. There is actually an organization run by the Massachusetts Library System called Bibliotemps, where you can bring in people on a contract. But I'm not sure that would be for any ongoing time.
And your proposal isn't talking about bringing anybody on with additional benefits either.
No.
So that, if you're going to go with contract services, generally, they would be, the increased hourly cost would be more than what you're proposing.
Right, because you have to pay the company.
Right.
I think certainly if you were doing a special project or if you wanted to get started, but I don't think in the long run, you do want people to get trained and become acclimated and to get to know the community. I mean, it's part of, there's a lot of interacting with the same people over and over and trying to create a friendly atmosphere.
Okay, so that total, okay, so it's not including benefits. The position has no benefits.
No, they're not. These positions are not benefited. But the other thing I just want to mention in our salary line items, the COLAs are not included because the contracts are all ending at the end of June. So even though it's asking for an increase, it doesn't include any COLAs for anyone who's currently working.
But
Mrs. Bailey.
to make sure that everyone's clear, the circulation position is 10 additional hours for an existing
For
employee.
one
Right.
person,
So that's not
yes.
hiring anyone new.
Yeah, that's
The
right.
additional hours open because of the population would be hiring new people, but it's for it would be for a known ongoing function. We don't expect the population of North Reading to go back down under 15,000, so it's not, maybe it'll be open for 2 years and we'll go backwards.
Right.
It's, different because it's an ongoing function, and as Helena and Judy know very well, what needs to happen when the library is open, how many employees need to be there, the functions that need to be done. It's not a change, it's not, let's try this out, do we need so it's a little different in apples and oranges because the circulation, the employees there were requesting.
And they're already entitled to benefits.
Already.
They
Already.
already
Right,
have
that's
sufficient
right,
hours
yeah.
where they're more than
Correct.
20 hours.
Right,
So that
correct.
there's no additional, it's not like someone's going to jump over the cusp period where you,
Correct.
the threshold where
Correct.
you become eligible. Right.
That's correct.
Finance Committee? Just check, we see if we still there, thank you, okay. All right, just wave.
Sean, I just have one more question. on
Mr.
that.
Prisco.
Other compensation, it's 2,998. What is that for?
That is, it's a differential for working on nights and Saturdays. And $1 an hour, but it adds up.
Right. So, just make sure I have the right numbers. So the total increase for the year, over and above everything, is $61,615. That number's still good, right? Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Valiakonis?
Support the additional 10 hours for the head of circulation and office manager. Elena and I have had a number of discussions about it, and certainly think that it's valuable going forward to have that position restored back to its original levels.
And it would help, it sets the groundwork. It's definitely part of when you actually decide to increase by the 9 hours.
We think
You
it's
really
necessary.
need- It's essential, yeah. It's very important.
In relation to the 9 hours, Greg?
Defer for future discussion. I don't think that, one of the things that Liz and I are trying to do is we have about on the town side, about $110,000 budget gap as we stand here today. So if we were to add the additional hours in, it would make that gap grow even more. We're trying to work it, reduce it rather than adding to it. We would suggest that it be addressed within the grace period that's coming up, but not as part of the fiscal 2015 budget.
What grace period is, what do you mean?
3-year,
Oh, it's-
3-year grace period.
Something it needs to
So
keep
Greg,
in-
what you're saying is that
keep in mind.
the increase in the 10 hours to the circulation is already in the budget?
It is.
So the gap, that's a part of that?
Correct. And we, again, we feel that that position is necessary.
Anything further?
Trustees?
No, I was going to ask. I didn't forget them.
Yeah, trustees in relation to what you've just heard.
Can I
You
ask
know,
a quick
what do you
question?
think?
Should be no surprise.
The 3-year grace period, it's a grace period, we're gonna have to do this.
Right.
We can't keep kicking the can now that we've gotten over the 15,000, it's a reality.
Yeah.
So next
So
year
if
it
it's not-
becomes a
if it's not next year,
two-year.
it's gotta be.
Right.
2-year grace period.
Next year it's a 2-year grace period, then it's a 1-year grace period, and then you're out of grace period. So, you know, we understand that there's gonna come to a point where the town's probably.
We have to, we have no choice. We
In
have
the
to.
same
Yeah, you
type
lose
spot,
certification.
and there's not gonna be a choice to remain certified.
Right.
Right, because we lose certification, we lose state aid, correct?
Right, and you
By not
lose the
doing it.
ability to borrow books from interlibrary.
Whole ripple effect. if
Yes,
we don't do it.
exactly.
But we do appreciate the town administrator's support, if I can speak for the
Yeah,
trustees,
sure.
for the circulation position. I think, you know,
Yes.
we would be pleased to take that as a starting point.
Yeah.
I think you'll at least get that.
Yeah, we would be pleased to,
Yeah.
please you. We would be pleased to please you.
Mr.
To that degree.
Mr. Fode?
It's a small number. I just have under you have repairs and maintenance. It's an increase of a small number, but what do you use that line item for, repairs and maintenance?
Really, because it's not very big, just incidental things that need to be done to the building, helping to supplement the, John Welsh's budget. He needs to
Okay.
do something.
Yeah, I just would think that
It's
would all
not-
come out of John Welch's.
It would,
It's-
office equipment.
It's always
Okay.
been, I
No,
mean,
just-
we've used it for different, we've
Small
bought
number,
a
just curious.
chair, we've used it to get keys made, but it isn't
Okay.
a major.
No, I know.
You're right, not like,
Thank you.
thank you very much.
I have one more question for you. Just because I asked Mr. Delaney, because I get confused very easy with these budgets. When you look at the personal services number, the increase that's being requested, but then when you go back and look in the sporting data, I can't make the tie. The numbers don't add up for me.
This may be able to, maybe this helps. In terms of the head of circulation, that increase alone is $10,363. And then, if we were to agree to increase the hours of operation, that's an additional increase, personal services of $35,568.
That's right.
That number
Yeah, I mean,
comes to about 46,000. So we're missing $4,000
Right.
somewhere.
That's why I kept asking about if the numbers have changed.
If you look at
because-
line 51,000, the FY 2015 increase, that amount is $50,068. I'm missing.
well,
so-
it could be the steps and there are step increases.
Okay, all right.
There's
That could
step
explain it. Okay.
increases and mostly step increases. There's
Right.
no COLAs. But there
So
are
these
step
steps?
increases
Okay.
for
All
the
right,
different.
that helps.
Mhm.
Appreciate it.
For some
Thank you.
people who are not quite at the top step. Yeah.
Just while we're on that topic, not just for the library budget, but for all departments' budgets, there are no COLAs added because all the contracts are up June 30th. So those adjustments or presumptions have been made within the salary pool
Got it.
of 2%, so.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for explaining that.
Thank you.
Leah, thank you very
Clarifies
much.
it for you now.
Thank you, trustees.
Thanks, Sean.
Nice to see you. Hillview Commission. Gentlemen, want to turn the lights off? Or you want to? Yeah, we may want to do this with the lights off, I think. Good evening.
Good evening.
Nice to see you.
Good seeing you.
Yeah.
Can't believe we're talking about golf when there's a foot of snow on the ground, but
So the course
Hopefully in a couple of weeks.
March 15th, we're opening up, so
All
we
right.
expect to see everybody there.
Taking bets?
Last weekend, the
Shoveling
course-
the fairways?
the course was
Orange
in
golf
great
balls for
shape
everybody.
cross-country
I was gonna
skiing
say,
and snowshoeing.
you should charge for cross-country skiing.
Right.
My wife and I were out there.
I saw your tracks.
So I'm Peter Hemme, I'm the treasurer of the Hillview Committee. With me is George Stack, our chairman, and George will be answering any of the tough questions, so feel free to ask as many as you'd like.
Mr. Hayden,
It-
please take it out to the hallway.
So, again, George is here. If there's any questions for him, feel free. We've been fortunate in the Hillview for the last couple of years. The combination of good weather, believe it or not, combined with really an outstanding golf course has really helped us stem the tide where the golf industry itself has been really going down the last 4 or 5 years. We've been fortunate that when you look at our revenue over the last few years, we've been fairly stable, certainly over the last 2 years, which is great. We'd like to take credit for the weather, but we will take credit for the fact that the golf course is really in great shape. Anybody who's played there recently can tell that we put a lot of money back into it. It looks
For
good.
the amount of play that course gets,
It's incredible. The incremental capital spending we've spent the last couple of years on buying rollers and buying some equipment to cut the grass has made a world of difference on the greens and on the golf course.
She's not going to be able to water it this year, that's all.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get to that. The other thing is I'd like to give a real shout out to our partner GFMI, the group that runs it. They do a fabulous job, from maintaining the course to driving the top line revenue. They're always coming up with creative ways to try to bring more people to the course. I don't think I've ever heard anybody say that they were turned away when they called, even when we've been full. Chris, somehow finds a way to get them on, which is great. They've been a tremendous partner. And they've signed up again, and we're looking forward to a few more great years with them. As far as our budget is concerned for 2015, it's a relatively flat budget. There's a small increase in spending, 1.4%. That 1.4% spending increase actually takes into account that our in lieu of taxes is going up by 8%, so we're able to save some money in some other spaces. As in the past, we will adjust our spending depending on how our revenue comes in. We have the flexibility in a few line items that, if we see that the weather's not cooperating, we're not getting the rounds that we need, we will adjust our spending. So we will continue to do that, as an organization and as a group as we go forward. As far as what Mr. Delaney alluded to, we are having an issue with our irrigation system. The irrigation system has been in there, I think it's probably the original irrigation system. So we've been patching it and putting bubble gum and tape and doing everything we can. Unfortunately, we're to the point where we can no longer do that. So we need to replace the irrigation system. It's kind of funny because the 2 golf courses in town have the same problem. I'm a member of Thompson, and we have the same issue. We're looking to probably replace the irrigation system over there as well. And they were all put in about the same time. So we've gone out and we've looked at it, and we believe it's going to cost around $1 million to do. Yeah, so we will be looking to go to town meeting this year to try to get that $1 million, with the idea of starting the project in the fall and getting it completed. I think it's very important that we do this. The shape and the conditions of the golf course is really what's driving people to this golf course. In addition, with the new irrigation system, the superintendent feels he'll be able to save money from the amount of water that we use. Because right now, if he's looking to water one particular spot, he's got to turn on the entire system and the entire hole. The system that we're looking to put in will give him control over a number of heads and really allow him to maximize the use of the water. So we think overall it's a it's a plus for the course, and environmentally we hope to be able to save some water as well. So that that is something that's unfortunately coming up for us. As far as the year is concerned, we had a good year. We had our 25th anniversary. We had an open house along with the rec committee. It was very successful. We had a lot of different contests. There was Pat Lee, credit to him. He had food for people. We gave golf cart rides. We had people playing golf, and I think overall it was a great day. We were fortunate that the sun came out and wasn't too cold, and I think the feedback was that it was very positive. From the committee standpoint, we were kind of upset that Chuck Carucci was the only one who got his picture in the paper, but we got over that. Yeah, we got over that. But yeah, it was a great day, and we really appreciate the rec committee, and the partnership we had with them, and the day was a great day.
So how are you going to support the debt service for the irrigation system?
So one of the ways.
I was going to say, I called Fiona before I came over, and I asked her if that had been mentioned yet, because it would be part of our going in for bonding. And is there a hearing on the bonding issues and things like that? And I thought there would be a discussion for that time, because we don't have, first of all, we just put out a request for designers to come in. There's 3 folks that do it. So we really don't know what we're actually dealing with, as far as we've been projected out to $1 million, but we have no idea what the actual cost is. I mean, I'm willing to discuss it, that. I mean, I see it like, the clam flats. The clam flats, if you don't shut them down, you don't have any clams. So periodically they shut this field down, shut it down for a couple of years, and they
What field are you shutting down?
Well, we're not shutting it down. We're shutting down. Well, there's a number of proposals. I mean, you want to discuss it now, we'll discuss it, but I'm sure you've all heard it, so what we were suggesting.
Well, I think it's what Mr. Larry's been preaching the last few years about. We can't be relying on payment of lieu and taxes.
So here's what our initial planning is that in the 2015 timeframe, our intention is to pay our in lieu of taxes and also to make up the payment that we owe the town. We will be in a position to do that. What will be coming forward most likely, and again, we're getting all the information, but our preliminary analysis shows that we'll be looking for a 4-year moratorium on our in lieu of taxes. And we're not asking for it permanently, we're asking for 4 years. And during that time, we will be able to build up our base back up to the point where we can support our debt service and also get back into paying the in lieu of taxes. But we will be coming and looking for some help from the town. We've run the numbers a number of different ways, and unfortunately where we are today, it's the only way we can do it today.
And I did share with the board members what you guys provided me, so they're well aware of.
You need to do the work in order to.
We've pushed it off as long as we could,
Right.
And we would like to push it off more, but at this point, the golf course is such a great asset and generates so much revenue for us and for the town that we need to maintain that golf course in the excellent condition that it is, and this is the only way we're going to be able to do that.
One of the problems is, of course, is the system weakens in order to water an area. You're also watering the green. You start getting rot, and pretty soon, you know, it costs 50,000 to build it, so you're running into real problems with that.
It's costing more money by not doing it.
Well, you start getting people who are disgruntled and stop coming, so that's what it is. So, yeah, it's an investment, has to be made.
How are you getting through this golf season? You
We're-
bubble gum and,
We're counting on Murph to keep it all together and running.
First, we're giving people shovels, so.
Yeah.
Because it's great, there's been no thaw. So once the snow goes, it's perfect.
ready to go.
Yeah.
Ready to go, yeah.
Yeah, our concern is that.
That'll be May, but.
Right.
Yeah.
Our concern is that we want to, you know, the best time to do this is in the fall, right, when there's less play.
Sure.
You know, we are somewhat confident that Murph can keep it going for that period of time. If it doesn't, you know, we may have to do it sooner.
Sure.
We don't want to do it during the height of the golf season, because we will end up shutting down holes, and whether 9 or 18 on particular, as they're, you know, drenching and putting in the new.
Yeah, word travels fast as far as the condition of the course, and
Yeah.
people just go somewhere else.
You know, we've done so much work on it, and it's such in great shape that it'd be a shame to go the other way, right? You know, if it's done in the October, November timeframe, we won't miss a beat. You know, we'll be open for the spring, and the condition of the golf course will be, you know, as good as it is today, if not better.
Sounds like you have another good plan, as you always do.
We're trying, you know,
So it's out of the budget, is that what I get to understand now?
Not yet.
For 4 years?
In lieu.
I don't think we have any choice. No, Steve has been saying this for years now.
No, I know.
We gotta be cautious about
I
what we
know.
do in terms of
Yeah.
that payment of lieu
Yep.
of taxes, and, you know,
The
it's right.
gap just got widened by about 130 or whatever.
No, we're looking in 2016.
I
We're not
know,
looking
but-
15, so.
We may want to wean ourselves
For
off of it.
next year, right, we should.
We may want to wean ourselves off of it a little bit, but
Right.
this year.
Yeah, and it is a good investment. You know,
That is, but can we talk about the function facility?
Well, I was
Sure.
gonna just mention that, great minds think alike. Just to give you an example, as much as the golf course is important, and that we have to have play, and we have to have a good irrigation system, you wouldn't believe how many people weren't coming back this year, leagues and things, because they didn't have a place to go and socialize. Even the Tuesday Women's League, who have tea and you know, whatever, they just like to sit and chat, and there was no place. So we're addressing that. We're addressing that, yeah.
Yeah, there is not enough revenue to support a standalone facility for that. So we have some ideas, some temporary facilities that we're going to do this year. We'll be able to monitor it, understand what the actual flow is, and also give some people a place to sit and to have a beer afterwards, or, you know, to socialize.
Yeah, we're
We're addressing the.
You have the ability to do that with the contract you have with Mr. Lee.
Yes, we do.
Yes, yeah, he sort of relinquished it, so,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
What about in terms of putting money into that function facility?
Sure.
It seems like, I see you have a maintenance budget for that in here.
So we have a maintenance budget, and we do have some capital that we're gonna spend over there, and it's
that-
more maintenance than it is improvements.
Is
per
that
se.
money well spent, though?
It is, because we need, you know, you think, we get a lot of revenue from the course also on outings. So people are looking for a place to go and have a meal. You know, the idea that we're gonna look at in the fall here is to put up a tent for the individual golfer who's looking to socialize after his round. But as far as a big outing, you know, with 120 people, they expect to have a facility where you can go and have a meal. So it is tied to the golf course. There is a certain amount of investment limited that we will make in the business, in the facility, things like air conditioning, things that have to be fixed. But as far as major renovations to improve or significantly upgrade the facility, right now, we don't see a return on that investment. But as an asset, we want to make sure that we are maintaining that asset to the extent that we can.
Is that what you meant by well spent?
I do, because that's exactly what I meant.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was, to me, I was
What-
certainly
what-
sitting where I sit, is it even worth putting money into that?
Well, we're, you know, I mean, we're the custodians of the facility, the town's the landlord. And, you know, I mean, we do roof work, you know, anything. As I told Pat, if you can carry it out, you own it. If you can't carry it out, we can discuss it. Like the air conditioners, the boilers, we had to replace the boiler. So that, you know, that's what a landlord does, but as far as the, you know, inside the function hall and how he runs his business, no, that's, yeah, so.
But the building's getting tired, and obviously with this irrigation system, you can't do as much as you probably wanted to do.
No, and we're not sure that, like you, we're not sure that the investment, the return on the investment is really there. There's a certain amount of investment we have to do, you know, as a landlord and as keeping the asset operating. As far as the improvements, we take that on a case-by-case basis and look at what we're gonna get for the return on it.
And we did investigate a new facility and stuff, and we have some great plans over there. Town wants to give us 8 to 10 million, and they're wonderful, great plans. We said thank you. But no, I mean, the building's old, of course it's old, and it's gonna get older. But it's still an asset the town has, and.
I trust your judgment that it's money well spent.
Yep, we are.
Keep it going and.
We wanna maintain the
turn
building,
around.
but, you know, in working order. It's
Well,
important.
you know, right now, I mean, in years past, with previous contracts, you know, it's been able to pretty much carry itself. We put a lot into it, but we also got a return in the previous contract. The current contract structure, as it's structured, you know, it's a loser for us, probably. In looking forward, even more so. But, you know,
I'm not sure it's a loser.
You know, in a 5-year contract.
I think if you look at it just
5
as a function facility, probably, but what you say in terms of outings
Right.
coming to golf, that's the asset that
Yeah.
you have to offer them to have their.
We're in danger of
After
losing
golf
some big
outing.
outings
Yeah.
if we
Yeah.
do not have a facility. So that's gonna hurt our golf revenue as well.
Yeah.
So
Right, but
I think we
but
break
had a
even
facility
at best.
there. But I mean, we had a facility which serviced those types of things. Now we've had a change in operations, which didn't necessarily fully allow for that maybe because of the way the contract was structured and what the commission agreed to. But it's, you know.
As far as, I guess I'm confused as far as, what do you mean
It's
it doesn't allow?
different.
It's different.
It's
you
a
know,
different
the-
operation,
right.
absolutely.
You know, the
Yeah.
pub being shut down
Yeah.
is different.
Right, it's a different operation.
You know, and again, that's had an impact not just on, you know, where people go afterwards and whether they're gonna go there or go somewhere else to play because of the
Yeah.
locality and the convenience of, you know,
Yeah.
having a round of golf and stopping in and having a beer afterwards.
Right.
You know,
If you-
that impacts things, you know, and then as far as, you know, the rest of the community, the small segment of the community that was there for breakfast and lunch on
Right,
a regular
the-
basis, it's
Yep.
not there anymore.
Right, but that pub never supported itself and was a losing proposition. So it would be difficult to have anybody run a pub that was losing money. Now, that being said, we're gonna learn very quickly, and I have my own suspicion with what we're gonna do this year, how much revenue really is generated from the after-golf community. Because, you know, some of the numbers, you know, there's not a lot of people that necessarily stay around. There's a lot of people on the weekends that do play golf. It's a public golf course. They get their 18 holes in and they run home, right? So there, you know, we will see very quickly what the intake is, and that's one of the reasons we're gonna do this, because we will have control over it and we will see what is actually coming in. And then we'll be able to determine whether there really is a business there to do.
Yeah, and if they're, you know, but we'll definitely have to service over the years whomever comes in. And if we determine maybe a new facility, maybe 4 years from now, we'll have to come in for not paying taxes for
25 years.
That's just a joke.
No, it's not.
I would attack you, you know.
But we're doing a very cost-effective thing
Yeah.
to set up a location this year so people can hopefully have a beer and enjoy themselves.
So I think at some point it would be worth the investment to do something, either complete renovation over there or tear down and rebuild.
Well, you mean the building?
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's what you said, there's nice
Right.
plans.
Oh, yeah.
Eight
No,
to
I know.
8 to 10 million
No, I know,
dollars.
I know, but
That
I
was
think-
on the low end.
I think that's a
Can we
win.
put-
It's
can
win
we
for
put town
whoever's
hall
the
in there, too?
contract.
Pardon me?
We can do
Can we
that.
put town hall in there,
You can
too?
put town hall, you can do, you know, this facility that, I mean, it was a beautiful facility. I mean, you come by and see the plans, it's just incredible.
Town hall is begging for
You
a
can
new
do
location.
town hall, you could do a senior center, you could do a golf course. I mean, the facility that they
I'm
generated
serious,
is.
I'm serious.
You know, you say that, but years ago, that was one of the suggestions that we kind of made. but it was frowned on.
I'm just throwing it out there because this facility
Yeah, no,
is tired and worn as your facility is tired and worn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you
Good
go sleep?
discussion.
Yeah.
No.
Then
Not
stay
today.
there.
Stay here.
No, but we spent about $500,000 on a new roof
Yeah.
here 4 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, it's tough.
But I bet you this heating system doesn't have the life expectancy.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Even the old ones have.
Right. No, it's
We're on borrowed time,
it's a
yeah.
valid conversation, to have. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a big facility, there's a lot of space
Uh-huh.
there,
Absolutely.
Lot of space.
a lot of space there. You can do some very nice things, all it takes is
Beautiful
money.
views.
That's all.
That's it.
Yeah. there's-
Liz has got the money, she'll
There's
just,
a lot, you know.
Keeps the
We
tax
didn't
rate up.
even waive the in lieu of tax payment.
Right. They rent to the enterprise.
Okay.
But again, we've been preaching for years, don't count on it. And again, it's time to
Well, no,
reinvest in the facility, which is the cash
You know, I
cow.
say it every
We've
year.
taken on, Hillview has taken on a significant amount of bonded
I
indebtedness
say it
over the
every
years
year.
that we're still paying for.
yep.
Someone said to me, what's your business plan? And I said, I open the window. It's raining out, it's a bad day.
Yeah.
And then you look at this snow now, and we've had we had something like this some years ago, and we really didn't get much golfing in until mid-April, late April. So, you really lose that, because the benefits
Lose a month.
from mid-March until,
It's gravy.
and then after Labor Day, that, so if you miss that's kind of tough,
That's the bottom line.
So, but that's where we're at, so,
It's always nice to see both of you.
so feel free to come
Thank you.
over.
Yeah, but we appreciate
Surely,
the,
the beers will be cheap, Chris will be selling. So.
Come on over and look at the plans.
We appreciate the advance warning on the
Yep.
lack of payment in lieu of tax.
Oh, yeah, come see the plans, yeah, absolutely. Phenomenal.
I can only imagine, because I've been saying for years, there's so many things you could reposition that.
Oh,
turn it
I mean,
around.
the architect did an amazing.
He did.
Coming off the 18th green.
He designed it with awesome.
Within the footprint.
Yeah, he did. The design actually, you can incorporate phases too.
Yeah.
Which was nice. You don't have the money to do it all at once, but at least have the foundation to build on. It's
We
really
said, what
nice
can you do
concept.
with $100,000? He gave us $10 million.
It was very creative what he did.
It was.
Moving the building around and
That was worth the money.
relocating it to
Oh,
different
yeah,
spaces.
absolutely, for a future
It was
time.
interesting.
Anything else?
But I just want to add that, little kudos to you. You made a lot of investment in that facility, even as tight as it is. I mean, I don't think it's looked as good as it ever has right now. And I got to give a little credit to Pat Lee. I think he's made some significant
Yep,
investments as
absolutely.
well, out of his own pocket.
Mhm.
And it really has, I think, been a better function facility. I've been to many of them since he's been in there, and I've been very happy with the service. So I think he made a really good decision.
Yeah, we've gotten a lot of letters commenting on the food and people enjoying their time there, so it's worked out well so far.
And we've probably invested $1.5 million in that building over the 26 years. You don't see any of it.
Probably more
It's
than
up
that.
top, it's down
It's
below.
on the roofs, it's down below.
Well, there's still a floor that's,
Still
being
the
held
jack,
up.
the jacks, yeah, so,
Oh, yeah.
but it's there.
Yeah, we got rid of the fan, that
Yeah.
kept the cooling system and
That's
the
right.
electrical box.
Everything else is
That's
great,
good, yeah.
everything's in it. It's in great shape. No other questions?
Any questions?
No, and again, thank the commissioners for
great.
all
Thanks
the
a
work.
lot.
you.
Take
very
care.
much.
Bye-bye now.
Thank you.
Greg, if you don't mind, I'd like to go to Veterans.
That'd be fine.
All right. Susan Magnus here, welcome. How are you?
Good evening. Good. How are you doing, gentlemen?
Very good.
See it?
On the veterans budget itself, let me touch base on that. That's, right now, we're looking at a forecast of about 240 projected for the end of this year, and that's just a projection, assuming the anticipated medicals, along with the ordinary benefits in that as well. One of the issues that we're facing is, in these times, is a lot of the World War II veterans. We're losing a lot of the World War II veterans. So if they were on a VA compensation, say they're 100% disabled, and they're receiving over $3,000 a month, that goes away once the individual passes. So their widow does not get any of that. And then, of course, then now you're dealing with the fact of their Social Security benefits too are going down because she's not receiving the full benefits as well. So we're faced with that, as well as forecasting and seeing a lot of our Vietnam veterans in their, as they're getting older, and they're passing away from a lot of complications from Agent Orange and that as well. So that is being forecasted along with the fact that we are looking at supposedly pulling our troops out in 2004, by the end of this year. That's being forecasted as well. So you're looking at a lot of unemployment issues coming through because a lot of them are unemployed when they get out. So right now, the majority of the individuals on the rolls are seniors. The ones that we have that are unemployed at this point, I work diligently with them to try and get gainful employment. That being said, that kind of corresponds with what we were discussing, you were discussing with the elders about transportation. One of the biggest issues that we have is obviously the transportation in this town, which those that are unemployed can't really search out beyond the boundaries of this town because the majority of them are having issues with transportation. They don't have it. So to get them gainful employment in this town is really very difficult. If we were able to somehow bridge 28 into Andover and up, it would be so awesome because I know they would have so much more opportunity to get gainful employment, which would reduce the issues on our end for putting them on the rolls. They get gainful employment full-time. For the most part, they're usually off the rolls, or at least at a minimal. So that is one of the goals that I'm trying to work with this year, and hoping there's some way we can find a way to, because that would assist, not just, I mean, the transportation issue, not just for the veterans that are unemployed, you're talking those that are in need of medical assistance and need to get to their medical appointments. We've got our seniors out, as Mary had stated. We have the seniors out there that are in desperate need. Of course, like she said, they want to get to their shopping. They want to still have some independence of their own. And there's nothing out there. But not only for the veterans and the seniors of the community, for the community as a whole, we need that. I mean, I can't believe that, you go from Lawrence to Andover, it stops, and then you pick up again from Reading and go on your merry way. I mean, it's just, how many miles do we have here between Reading and Andover to actually bridge that gap? So there's got to be some way we got to find somebody that can work with us on that. We really need it.
What's the service that comes into Andover?
Andover, I believe it's the MBTA. Now, I don't know if that's run out of Merrimack or
No, it's the MBTA.
It is the MBTA, I know that.
It's not the Merrimack Valley. No,
Yeah.
it's a great bus.
It is an MBTA bus that goes through there.
But they get that because they have the commuter rail that comes through.
Exactly. But,
And the bus goes to Boston.
hmm?
There's a bus, an MBTA bus that goes to Boston.
Oh, and hops on to 125, right?
Right. They used to come down 28.
Used to come down
They did not stop in North Reading, went right by us.
Does anyone know the reason why it no longer comes down 28 through North Reading?
But they used to pick up, you know what the Tokyo is? They used to be at Howard Johnson's years ago.
Right.
Yeah, they used to pick up.
They used to be at the Hojos there for years. And then when that stopped, it was further north, up where there's a church.
Where the church is.
The church.
Yeah, I think that's where they,
Do they turn around?
I think they still stop there.
Yeah, they have an MBTA parking lot. Well,
They use the church parking
They have
lot.
commuter parking there at that church.
Right,
That
right,
small church.
right.
And I think that starts there and then they go up 125.
All right.
We try to get them to come here and stop in North Reading and use like the old Zayre's parking lot. You hear that one.
Yeah, it's.
The postal facility there in that area for some parking, because there's enough room there during the day that they could do that.
Sure.
But we could never get them to do that.
Is it the reason because we don't have a commuter rail here? Is that their reason?
Well, we lowered our payment to the MBTA a bunch because there was no stop.
We were assessed hundreds of thousands of dollars over the years with no service, so we complained and complained and complained, and the assessment dropped significantly.
Right.
But they didn't offer to make us stop. And for years, we've been fighting and asking for some sort of, just a stop somewhere here. And
I think
it was
that's
the
what-
end over, and it was Reading.
I think
It flew right through
we
us.
should be able to put some pressure to try to get something out of there.
Because, I mean, they also run up 38 from Woburn all the way into Lowell. And there's no break in between any of those towns with Tewksbury, because they pick all the way up.
Yeah.
But they all have commuter rail. All those communities have commuter rail.
Tewksbury doesn't. Tewksbury doesn't have a commuter rail. No, they don't.
No, but they have a park and ride, right? Don't they have a
Well,
park and ride?
if they get the service.
Yeah, they built that,
get the
they only
ride.
built that like, not that long ago. It wasn't that long ago. The one up by 93 you're talking?
Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't that long ago that they built that. But they run that consistent right up 38 all the
It's
way.
something that we should be able to do.
It's latest.
I just find it kind of strange that, you just stop and let me make the turnaround, and there's only what are we talking about, a 10 mile gap, 15 mile gap?
I don't even think it's that much.
I don't even know if it's that much either. You
Town
know?
line to town line, and over the
Yeah.
Reading town line.
To Reading? I don't think it's that either. That's crazy, so, anyways. It'd be nice to be able to see if we can find a way to work that in there. Because that would solve a lot of issues for a lot of people in the town,
I
I
get the
think.
senator this weekend, maybe you can put a plug in his ear.
Yes, we could do that, couldn't we? Okay, so, anyways, so that is, because of the fact that the need has been increasing, I'm recommending to leave it as level funded as it is anyways for the 330. Because all that is used for actually is strictly for the benefits, so whatever doesn't get used reverts back to,
The general fund.
yeah, the general fund, so.
But you're anticipating 240 based upon the 330 appropriation this year?
Right now, I'm looking at that,
Right.
yeah. But where we did these so early, it's kind of hard to tell right now too,
Right.
so, yeah.
Well, that's just based upon your 6 month.
Mm. Yeah, because right now I'm at the, I think I got, I don't have my figures on me.
To date, 144,984 has been spent, so that's about 44% of the 330.
Thank you.
And how many veterans are we actually servicing through the dollar benefits here? I know there's other services that you provide to veterans.
Right.
Other than doling out cash. But-
Right now, I have currently 30 on the rolls.
Okay, this one I'm looking at, the cases like, so it's just 28, but so 30
Yeah.
cases?
Yeah, and that's because I just added, since this came out, I had added on a couple more, so. Because now, we also have a group home in town too, and I've, and through the assistance with Shine Counselors and the individuals working in the group home, they've reached out to me too as well, which, so.
Can you just expand on the group home?
Expand on it?
Yeah, what is?
What it is that one is for disabled adults. And I actually, got to go over there and check it out because it's part of what I have to do. They got the handicap ramp, it's all handicap accessible.
Over on Park Street?
Right on, I'm sorry, what was
Park
it?
Street?
No, not Park, it's Chestnut, 84 Chestnut.
On the other side of Havel Street.
Yeah.
Just
I
before the cemetery there? You know where the cemetery is on
Sure.
Manchester? Just before there, on the right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And what it is they actually have, I believe it's 3 people that are living in the home that are there to care for them 24 hours. So it alleviates putting them into the nursing home. The one I'm working with right now, she's into her 60s. And she's been there for, I believe, 15 years, they told me. She was initially in a nursing home, but her sister wanted her, need to have some kind of independence, but they need to have the assistance to make sure they're not setting the house on fire, burning the house, setting not when they're cooking, but it's still teaching them the independence and to be able to have some independence and live on their own. So they all have their own rooms, and they all have, a general living room, if you will, and then they have a full table where they all sit down at the dinner table and they eat together, and so the only thing is that they don't, what they get, pretty much what a nursing home does, they don't get any of the medicals. They don't get, their linens aren't covered, all that stuff there, so they're responsible for all that. So, but yeah, it's very nice, actually. It was very nice. The ladies in there were very nice and very, they have their own transportation set up with vans and everything to take them places to go shopping or to the movies or day trips or whatever. So
And these are veterans? Or not?
well, this one here, she's a child. No, she's the child of a veteran. Yeah, she was disabled as an infant. Yeah, and the rest of them are, the others are not.
So does she derive any of these benefits here?
Yeah. Yeah.
One of your objectives is to set up basically a career resource center. That's the term it's much smaller than that, I think, what you have planned, but.
A resource center for
your veterans to.
Set up a computer.
Job search.
That's exactly what I'm working. Actually, I've actually touched base with IT here, since my computer system was changed over. One of my thoughts is to utilize what we already have here in-house, because I really don't want somebody to have access to any. They don't have a need for any access other than the Google searching and maybe Word document to be able to do their own resumes. So I've talked with Jean and Brian about it and cleaning out maybe a couple of systems and giving them the opportunity to come in here to be able to do that. And actually, some of them you got to kind of watch to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. So it's kind of a
I think it's a great idea.
a good situation for me to be able to help them, help them be there to help them with their resume building as well as making sure they're doing their job searches.
Do you have the
So
space?
I'm working on that too. We got to work on that too. So, yeah, right now it's I can't put them in my office, so there's just
You
there's no
can't?
spot. No, unless I want to put them on my lap somewhere. I don't know. But that's definitely one of the things that would work really good. We definitely need that because it's mandated. It's not only something you would expect of them. It's mandated by the state. They have to be searching on a regular basis for jobs. So, and unfortunately, there's some out there that you really have to be like the teacher, making sure that they're doing their homework. So.
That's why that Operation Moneywise, it's a program that the state's Treasurer Grossman's department is actually sponsoring it, and I really encourage all your members to attend that event. It's March 22nd.
Oh, that's the one, yes.
Yep, it's out at Mass Bay Community College.
Yep.
I'm actually one of the people on the Operation Moneywise team. It's just a financial empowerment conference where for veterans, service members, and their families, and basically help them do those types of things, and we'll also help them, teach them how to improve their financial behavior, try to teach them, we're going to be teaching them how to do more personal finances, because what we're finding is a lot of the veterans, especially even the remaining spouse, after the primary spouse passes away, they've never managed finances before. That was always done by their husband, and we're finding them now trying to manage a household, and they have no education on how to do it. So this group that we put together is going to do that. It's going to be a big function. We're hoping to have hopefully 1,000 people in there.
I have passed that on to all my people.
I think it's fantastic.
I think that's huge.
My wife and I have made a personal finance donation in this to really push it to make it happen, because I see it across the country. Our veterans, our service members, they're coming home from war. They've been out fighting for us. They get their paycheck, everything's deducted for them. When they get out of the service, they don't know what to do.
Right.
And we need to help them. And So I really encourage, especially the ones looking for jobs.
Absolutely.
There's gonna be a lot of companies coming. They're gonna be there, setting up booths, so I really would encourage.
I had emailed that out, and I'm gonna
I would do
re-email
it
it
again
again
if you
to them
could.
for, yeah. Because that actually, that kind of touched base when you were, briefly, when you mentioned about possibly going bi-weekly on the checks and everything for, it's for the vendors. One of the issues with the veterans, it's tough with that one, is because, and I can't even do direct deposit with some of them because I have to make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to do in order to receive that check. So if they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, I can actually, should be putting them on a suspension. And I don't want, that would not be an area where I could put them on a automatic. The elders I could, the elders that are easy, there's no question they're automatically on the system, but those that are unemployed, we really have to be on top of them. We have to make sure they're not dealing with substance abuse, which I've already had a couple of issues with that. I had another one that was arrested.
So how does
And I
that-
got a good deal.
If it was direct deposit, what would prevent you from, if you came up with a case that you had to put them on suspension?
Shut it off.
Just stop it.
Well, I just don't want to, I don't want to have to add more to their plate either, but it's a lot easier to do the paper check, and some of them don't even have checking accounts. Yep. You'd be amazed.
Social Security over the last year.
Well, that's different. You're talking the Social Security and the VA comp and pen and all that, they're all going direct deposit.
Went direct
It's
deposit.
mandated.
My mother's still having a fit over it. She
Yeah.
wants the check. She wants
Yeah.
to see it.
Yeah. It's mandated. There's nothing
It's
you can
everybody's
do.
going that way. And we have, that's what this program's gonna, we're actually gonna be touching upon that in this program. They're gonna learn how they can do this, where it doesn't
Right.
cost them money. Banks are gonna actually be there to try to help people set up accounts so they can do this direct deposit. So
Yeah, it's huge. I agree with you. They should all have bank accounts, but you get some of them that are literally living, in somebody's home and they're only paying, they pay them by cash weekly for their bills and stuff, and it's sad what's out there, it really is.
what's sad is the magnitude, how many people there are. I didn't
Exactly.
realize it until I got involved with this organization.
I have a
Across the
veteran,
Commonwealth.
and
It's amazing.
I have a veteran that I've been visiting the last couple of weeks, and I finally was able to obtain all his documents from the military, and because he didn't have, and he was just shy of, I think, like a month to qualify to be a veteran, he and his wife are both living under $1,000 a month. It's like $700 a month that they're receiving, and living in a house when they're about to be evicted, and he's got mega medical issues. And he calls me all the time, and I've already had CC, I've had Mary help me out with oil, call me again today. He's in tears and he doesn't know what to do. Our housing again issue.
This conference would be perfect for him. They're gonna have
Our housing
benefits
issue.
organizations
He's
there.
well into his 70s. He's
Help
got
him.
no money.
And they can help him.
But, and with the housing, one of the things is, I think we need something, because I know the housing we have here does not have any handicap accessibility at all. None. What's there?
No, none of the units have?
None of them. I confirmed it today. None of them are handicap accessible. I've been in them. The bathrooms,
How do you get
definitely
away
not.
with
I've seen platforms, small platforms put up on the lip to help those with a wheelchair, because I have a veteran living in there in a wheelchair.
They were built in the early 60s, and nothing's been done to them since.
They are not accessible at all.
And the state's not gonna require
Prior to
us
the
to do
ADA
it.
standards.
Nope. And the other issue is, yep, and the other issue is they're up on, you get a lot of units up on that hill, so you walk up that walk and you gotta go up about 15 steps or so before you even hit that plateau, and there's no ramp or anything for these individuals either, and so you can't even put somebody in a wheelchair up there, forget it, it isn't even happening. So,
Extremely, I don't know if you've been in extremely small units, and bathrooms tiny.
the bathrooms
The
are
whole
very
thing is
tiny.
Oh, yeah.
The whole thing is tiny. The whole-
You could not fit a wheelchair in any of those bathrooms. So I don't know how somebody in a wheelchair situation is in there. I really don't. Other than they have a little ramp out their front door to get down. That's it. They've done the best that they can with what they have. So, which is limiting a lot of housing for anybody in that situation. So, on the line items, the only things I had was on other supplies, a request for additional on the other supplies. And that is to just help me with defraying some of the costs, because the cost that, I'm trying, a lot of the events that I'm doing, the costs are starting to go up. And believe me, the centerpieces, and I do them myself, so I don't even hire anybody outside to do them. But they do, that stuff goes up, and then the cost of the printing and everything for the programs and everything too, so. And I even sometimes even use my own computer at home to do the printing. So, but that's just to give us, a little bit more for what I want to do to present a better, the bigger and better shows that we're doing over at the Hillview, and for the events that I'm doing for Veterans Day, and getting more involved, obviously, in Memorial Day too. So. I do seek out a lot of outside assistance from a lot of the vendors who have been super with helping us with all the food and all the coffee and everything, which has been huge. So, but like I said, these things and the ticket printing and all that ends up costing too. So, and then on the ads, again, that's for just to put more information out on events as well as things that are going on with the veterans, to acknowledge, to let them know what's going on, to assist them and their and the spouses of the veterans for what the state and federal can offer them out, or if there's anything major going on, then I can put that out, blast that out too. I try to utilize the Facebook a lot and the website, but then again, you have your seniors who don't use the
Good segment of them that are not.
Yeah, they look forward to looking in the paper. I do try to use the letter to the editor a lot, so, and put things into the senior.
Transcript's more than accommodating. I see what you put in there.
And then the travel, that's been crazy. I've just since October, I've put over almost 4,000 miles on my car, and haven't even gone anywhere for home, so from here to home. And doing a lot of outreaching. So last year it was over 800 in the expenditures, and so I'm asking for another 600 for that. My main goals, transportation and affordable housing this year. Those are two of my huge.
I wish you much success.
Huh?
I wish you much success.
I thank you.
We need to help you in the transportation, because it's going to benefit.
Look to
not
see if I
only
can
you,
find
but
those
other-
money trees
other
of shape.
segments of the community. So.
I would really like, I'll talk to my son too. He works for Mass Commuter Rail. I'm gonna see if there's a good contact. Maybe I can get over there to see what, talk with somebody regarding it. Actually, his
I think
girlfriend's.
Bruce and Brad should be able to help.
Yeah.
I think we really need to turn up the heat there.
Because that's.
Brad was a member of the board here.
Remember
years ago, and it was the same issue. It hasn't
It's
changed.
just, yeah, but I think we need to take it on and really turn up the heat and see what they can do.
And it's not just for like I said, it's not just for the veterans and the seniors here in the town.
No,
It's a community-based, that everybody else could, there's a lot of people out there that could use that to get out there, that don't use my services because they don't qualify, but they need to get out there and get jobs, and they don't have any other opportunity to get anywhere other than through busing, so. Any questions, gentlemen?
Any questions? Finance Committee? No.
Yes.
Yes.
If so if we're gonna, overfund the projection on the veteran services line by $60K next year, why not fund it what we think the need will be and put that $60K towards capital? If it's gonna become free cash in our first pass estimation. Because there is always a reserve fund, which we use.
May I ask a question? Are you talking about the remaining balance in FY '14, or are you talking about?
No, I'm just saying, well, the projected spending was $270K next year for veteran services, veteran benefits.
Right.
And so we'll budget 330, which is very conservative. That's like self-insuring. That would roll to free cash if you've spent according to your projection, right?
The biggest issue with that was though from last year and eating up a lot of your
Oh, I
free cash.
understand. You
That
know,
was the big
Things look like
issue.
they've stabilized a little bit based on last year,
But
this
if-
year projection, and next year's projection.
If the troops are coming home, like they say, our veterans benefits are going to increase in FY '15.
And the growing numbers of see, as we lose the veterans, the World War II veterans, and their spouses are now only dependent on that one Social Security, it's now not only there, it's hitting also now dramatically in the Vietnam era, because that's what's happening with that.
I was just reading what I thought was in the budget statement, the projection. You know, so this is just, you say there's great uncertainty. Is that basically it? Compared to that projection, it's just one.
I
one
would be
scenario.
leery to, if we did anything with it, I would put it in your reserve fund.
Oh.
To know that we have a safety net, you know? Right, I would be, you know, we don't, this year the trend is good, but we don't want to be in the position we were in last year.
And
so.
understand, those were figures from January, what I was, you know. So I can't tell you how many are
I'm
gonna
not
be.
telling you to
No,
do
no, no,
anything
no,
different.
no, no,
I'm
I'm just saying, I
trying to
can't project how many
understand the
coming on the
reasoning
rolls.
for the request
Right.
staying at that level when we're projecting substantially less in the one thing that's submitted here. You know, it didn't really speak to the uncertainty.
Right, but what happened was last year, when I presented the budget for FY '14 with that anticipation, halfway through, we ended up taking pretty much all the free cash, so it was.
Yeah,
We very much supported increasing your.
Oh, no,
budget
right,
this year.
exactly.
It was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not an issue.
It doesn't go anywhere other than for what it's for, so.
No, and part of it comes back, but I think this is something that Richard was going to look into, and that we should talk about at our meeting, and we can always have Sue come in, we still have time, and Liz may have some additional information, but I think that we need to talk to the rest of us.
That was a personal question.
I took it that way, Dan. And Abby sort of confirmed it by what she just. Thank you very much
You're
for all your
welcome.
efforts.
Anybody else?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
It's official. Can't feel my toes.
Administration, Mr. Valiakonis.
Okay, board members, I'm going to go through a couple of budgets, legal, selectmen, town administrator, fuel, and then I'd like to conclude by going through some of our fixed cost items that we generally don't talk much about at these meetings, but they represent a significant portion of the town overall operating budget. So let's start off with legal services. Under legal services, I've proposed a $30,000 increase. And the reason for that increase is a result of really two things. The first item is ongoing special counsel services related to the school project. And this was authorized by the board, which went ahead and hired special counsel to represent the town. And what I want to do is I want to ensure that there's sufficient funds on hand to continue review of documents related to the school project. And then the second item that I've done is I've increased the labor council budget, which is Copeland and Page, by $10,000. The reasoning that I did behind that was that there are 7 contracts that are open for negotiation that end on June 30th of 2014. And my thought is that with the change in administrations, it was prudent to increase the amount of services provided by town council. Typically, all of our contracts have been negotiated in-house with very little legal services offered through town council. And again, with the change in administration, the thought was is we might want to look more heavily at that fiscal year 2015. Questions? Selectmen's budget. The Selectmen's budget doesn't represent any changes. It's the cost of Jackie's position, Jackie Studley, who works 18 hours a week, and our part-time reporting secretary, who's here this evening. The budget is entirely based upon salaries, and so there would be no change in the amount of that departmental budget for fiscal year 2015. Questions? Administration. The administration budget is largely unchanged. However, what I did do was I've been reviewing the necessity for increasing the staffing in the Human Resources Office. Presently, the individual works on a part-time basis. So our Human Resources Director is 27 hours a week. And the budget that's being proposed increases that position to 35 hours a week. The main reason in doing that is related to increasing what I consider to be risk involving management of the town's health insurance account, and in particular compliance with the federal Affordable Care Act. That's a mandate that all cities and towns face going forward. But the Human Resources Director at one time was full-time, and I want to indicate that it was cut back back in 2002. So it was reduced back to, I think it was about 24 hours, and it's increased slightly since that period of time. My thought is that the Human Resources Department, in addition to providing services related to management of the town's group health insurance and compliance with the Federal Affordable Care Act, also can provide some additional assistance and render assistance related to the civil service hiring process. And then thirdly, with relation to assisting administration with the preparation of strategy for collective bargaining negotiations. So I think that it's time, as we look to increase our professional resources, we look at the Human Resources Office as an opportunity to do that. And again, the cost of doing so is $13,577. Some of the other accounts that have increased in the budget are mainly increased due to it represents the actual costs that we have going forward. For example, I increased dues and services, dues because of the fact that $2,600 of that is cost attributable to the town's membership in the Mass Municipal Association. That's is beneficial to all departments. And then there's also the sum of $1,000 in the budget for professional affiliation with the town administrator, being in the International City Management Association. And if you look at those two amounts alone exceed the amount of the budget appropriation. So there was really no magic in terms of putting that number together. The salary for the town administrator is level funded. The board may wish to review that going forward in terms of whether that's an appropriate level of funding, given the fact that you anticipate having a new town administrator on board on July 1. If you wish to change it, the time to do it is going into town meeting. You may wish to have a discussion amongst yourselves or a discussion with the Collins Center from UMass as to whether you consider that to be an appropriate rate. Any questions on the town administrator's budget? I've got a handout on the fuel budget. So the fuel budget is a consolidated fuel budget, which includes all of the municipal departments that utilize either gasoline or diesel fuel. And it also includes the school department. So I previously had provided a summary that shows the amount of gasoline and diesel fuel that the town uses on an annual basis. And the amount is pretty consistent in terms of the gallons that are used. It increases or decreases depending upon the activity that takes place during the course of the year. For example, if you've got a year that's particularly snowy, or there are a lot of emergencies, you'll see an increase in fuel costs accordingly. But that's what really, that amount is fairly consistent. What is driving the budget request for fiscal year 2015 is an estimated increase in the cost of fuel. So the proposed cost of fuel, we've estimated that it'll increase on a unit basis by 5%. And if you turn to the back page of the presentation that I've handed out to you, you'll see that the requested budget is $207,000, and that's based upon gasoline at $3.26 a gallon and diesel fuel at $3.54 a gallon. We buy at a wholesale price. That price fluctuates, so it's not a fixed price. The price fluctuates within a range, and so we need to make an accurate depiction of what that range would be. And for the purposes of budgeting, we've established a 5% increase in both of those accounts. You'll also see that on average, you see the amount of gasoline and diesel fuel. 3-year average on gasoline is 40,725 gallons used, and diesel fuel, $21,028. I spoke to Mr. Carnevale and I asked him when we have a particularly snowy winter, such as this year, what would we estimate the amount of gasoline or diesel fuel for storms? And his opinion was we spent about $16,000 to date in gasoline and diesel fuel related to snow removal. So that number will vary depending upon how severe the year is. We include those amounts within the fuel budget. It's not included within the snow and ice budget that has a pretty substantial deficit, and I will get into that at a later point in the meeting. So that's the fuel budget. Any particular questions on that?
What, Mr. Prisco?
Well, I've never been a big fan of this whole consolidated thing, and I appreciate you sent us out the last 4 years.
Yes.
Of what the cost was per gallon per department, which was helpful because when you look at 2013, fire went down, police went down, pretty much everybody went down. Even the price of fuel, what we're paying this year versus last year, went down. But what really just stuck out was in DPW, they went up 3,323 gallons in 1 year. Now, I went back and did some looking. 2001, we had a big snowy year, very similar to what we're having now. Even last year was, we had some snow. But to go up over 3,300 gallons, just something sticks out. And in addition to that, where we had other departments when they burned less fuel and spent less money, we're taking that savings, in addition to that, this increase, and we're still asking for more. It's a significant increase. And I'd just like an explanation. Why?
I can tell you that the DPW is becoming more dependent on gasoline vehicles. So a lot of the smaller transport vehicles, pickup trucks and such, burn gasoline, and the town's made a significant investment in providing and purchasing new gasoline-powered vehicles for the DPW. And as part of that, there's been a phasing out of some of the older diesel-fired equipment. So the fact that there's a shift in the gasoline increases a portion of that. I can't quantify exactly how much, Michael, but I can tell you that a portion of it is as a result of the fact the town has purchased additional gasoline vehicles for the DPW, which have in fact replaced some of the diesel vehicles that have been in the DPW.
Well, out of that 3,300, over 2,500 of it's diesel, so it's only 800 of it's gas. And if you look at the trend, diesel is going up, and gas is actually stable, or it's slightly now gone up. I talked to some of the other department heads when we were here on that Saturday, and I grabbed each one of them individually. You know, I don't think either one of them, they don't really feel either way, whether they have this in their budgets or not, they don't particularly care, but I do care. And this is a perfect example why. We have no real insight why we're having over 3,300 gallons of fuel being burned, and we don't really have an answer. And, you know, your answer regarding it being gasoline versus diesel doesn't support the data that you provided us.
I understand.
So, we need some better explanation on the fuel. It just, and then, you know, last year and this year, we both got a request from the DPW that we have this new system to manage our fuel, but we thought going to this consolidated process was the efficiencies. But, so I'm all confused about what's being provided this year. But I don't see an efficiency. Matter of fact, if you look at the data, it's a significant increase. And when they're asking for more money on top of, we have 2 other departments that are heavy users, and they went down.
The police department, they've gotten more energy efficient vehicles.
Yep.
You know, so that's part of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, so, I mean, that's, I don't think they're,
Right.
and they've also managed, as Lieutenant Romeo pointed out when he was here, talked about idle time. They've
Yeah.
cut back significantly on idle time. The vehicles that they've purchased over the last 2 years are more energy efficient than the old Crown Vics that we
Yeah.
had. So that's an explanation as to why the
Oh,
police
absolutely.
have dropped.
Great. But Chief Warnick, I asked him, I said, your calls went up, but your fuel went down. Because he took what we said last year. He's been managing it, working, trying to find efficiencies, like the idle time that you're talking about. You know, in the wintertime, it's a little more difficult for them to do that because there's certain items on their trucks that they have to keep at a certain temperature. But they're trying to manage it in the summer months where they don't have to idle it. So they're managing it. And that's the thing, is I'm trying to say here, is it just seems to me that everybody's managing it. We have one department that's really sticking out, and there's no explanation, and we're being asked for more money. And I keep saying, we don't need more money, we need more efficiency. So this proves my point. 3,323 extra gallons from 1 year. Needs some explanation. Oh, and the other board member noticed.
Which year are we talking about again?
If you just
12 to
take
13, I'm
if
just
you
looking at the
take
ages.
2012, compare it to 2013, just 1 year. If you do the math, it's a significant increase.
12 to 13.
And if you pay attention to the fuel costs, you can see that they're somewhat controlled. They haven't gone up.
Steve, I think what Michael's talking about is it's on this spreadsheet that was given to us at the Saturday budget session.
Oh, I see, okay.
Do you want to take a look at this?
Yeah, probably is. It's upside down.
That was my problem. I couldn't
It's upside
understand
down. It's upside down. Yeah, okay.
That's all I had on the fuel.
We contracted out less, and again, I know we got the new dump truck and some other new equipment.
Right.
Which allows the DPW to do things that we're contracting out. But I mean, the explanation is a reasonable request, but just trying to think about what's occurring. Yeah. I think we're contracting out less, taking on more.
We are. We have additional vehicles in the department, but the high peak usage, if you look at this report, they happen to be December, January, and February in terms of diesel usage, which, you know, to me, if you look at the totals, they correlate with major storm events. February 2013 was a 2,864 gallons of diesel fuel. I think there was a blizzard that occurred in February of 2013 where there was significant resources that were put into that, and that doesn't explain all of the amount that, in terms of the course of the year, but the spikes tend to be during those periods of time when there's severe storm events.
No, and I agree with you. I went back month to month and looked at it, and you can see they're out where there are the spikes. But when 2012, we had similar spikes in maybe different months, but they were spikes. But overall, it's a significant increase.
Yeah, and as you look at that report that you're referring to, if you look at November, December of 2011, and January and February of 2012, those were years where there was relatively little snow. So you'll see that there was a drop during that period of time.
Thank you. Yeah, but you have to go back and look at 2010, we had no snow. You go back and look at 2011, we had
So
snow.
much maybe had ice, too. You don't know.
It just needs an answer. I don't think we're gonna solve it here.
I'd like to talk a little bit about the fixed costs and kind of pulling this whole thing together in terms of cost, if you don't mind. I handed out some of these, I can't recall if I gave a copy of these to each of the board members tonight. Steve, I know I gave you one. Was there anyone else that I gave a copy to?
I don't think so, Greg.
No.
We just got it tonight.
All right, Liz,
You handed
I'm
me the
short
other
one, unfortunately.
Dan?
Mike, I think the budget submission looks like it was based on 3-year average fuel use plus 5% price contingency. Is that right?
Yeah, but
That's
2013
Right.
was so significant that it needs some explanation.
Okay, so Liz and I updated the revenue plan and the expense plan. I'd like to touch upon some of the areas. Page 1 is the revenues, and I'm just going to go through the notes, which are in the right-hand column. So in accordance with the board's request, the entire amount of the Chapter 70, which is included in the governor's House budget, $114,157, has been earmarked and going directly to the schools. That doesn't affect the total revenue picture, but it does impact is how we divide the money between the town and the schools. And that shows up on page 2. We talked a little bit this evening about the Hillview, and we talked about the in lieu of tax payment. You'll see that the town does anticipate as part of its local receipts for 2015, the amount of $135,000. So Mr. O'Leary was correct in the number that he stated this evening, and I want to indicate to the board that in terms of our revenue plan, we do anticipate as part of the payment in lieu of taxes an amount that's coming in for the Hillview, and we've put it in there. If you decide to take it out or change it, then we've got some work to do in terms of how we ultimately balance the budget.
And you also saw that they're gonna pay back the extra $60,000.
We did.
So I think that should be part of the discussion as well, if we're gonna discuss.
Where is that?
That's in what I
Page
emailed you.
1. No, it's not shown here.
It's not showing.
In fact, I was unaware of that until it was stated this evening.
No, I emailed it to you. I mean, at the
Yes.
beginning of the week.
But I mean, to
Last
hear
week.
it from the commissioners this evening was pleasant, and I appreciate it. Page 2?
Can I just make a suggestion? I don't know how we can allocate it, but if you take that 60,000 and 135, it's $195,000. You're gonna have some for this year and nothing going forward. Can we allocate it over 5 years? Just get used to it. That'll be $39,000, $40,000 a year. Over the
Yeah.
next 5 years, rather than, in other words, start taking the hit now and wean ourselves off of it and allocate from free cash, whatever, over the next
Stabilization.
4 years of stabilization.
Fund.
In other words, put it in there and account for, approximately $40,000 over the next 5 years. So that the impact on next year and the year after isn't such a significant drop, and we'll factor it in this year. Since we know what's gonna happen, factor it in now. That way it's more realistic as to, rather than one-time money.
Taking it all now,
One-time
nothing.
money, taking it all, allocating it, and
Going
then
to zero.
chasing down $200,000, next year.
Seems to make sense.
Good plan.
That just.
That's the
it-
mechanism?
It increases our gap for this year, but it's more realistic in relation to our revenue projections for the next 4 or 5 years, right?
Does it go into stabilization, Liz?
the finance committee will let it come out.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a little bit like a lot.
Well, you know, I take $40,000 of the $195,000 to $200,000.
Put it in
Projections
budget for
here,
next year, right.
and the rest of it in stabilization to be allocated and come out over the additional 4 years.
4 years, right.
Just let the finance committee, you know, if they don't want to put it there, we'll put it somewhere else.
Well, if the goal is to make it a gradual decrease, you might want to do it different than that, rather than go to a new low plateau and drop again twice, you might make it slow.
Why drop twice?
If you're worried about
Yeah.
gradual budget impact.
Where's the second drop, Dan?
Yeah, where's the second
We're talking
drop?
40
Well,
for the
it
next.
lasts for 4 years, you know, so then that goes away. So it
No, no.
sounds like you go from this plateau to a new plateau.
No,
and
but
then it
they,
falls off.
they've asked for forgiveness for 3 years.
No,
Just
forgiveness for
4 years.
Oh, 4.
4 years.
starting
Next year.
2006, fiscal year
16.
16.
I thought I heard 40, I thought they wanted forgiveness forever.
No,
No.
what Mr. O'Leary is proposing is, in FY
I get it. I
2015,
understand that.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, you know, do it over a 5-year time period, you just evenly allocate it. I mean, I can see what you're saying too, but, you know, just take the hit this year.
Some leveling,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I'm open to your suggestions.
Yeah.
It sounds like a.
No, I think Dan's on board now. He thought
But
it was,
I agree that you want to
Right.
phase in the effect
right.
somehow. It's just the question is how.
He thought it was gonna go on
Yeah,
ad
no.
infinitum.
No, just, but it
Till
would,
eternity.
that amount would run out.
Right, right.
Now, they're asking for forgiveness for 4 years, starting fiscal year 16. In the meantime, they're giving us 135 plus what they owe us in
It'd be
arrears.
Level allocation.
Yeah, so in arrears, they're giving us $60,000 too, so that's a one-time. So if you combine them, allocate them over 5 years, we have the impact this year, but less significant.
So you added
Going forward.
$95,000 to your budget gap, or our budget gap. You gotta find a solution for it.
Just a suggestion, you know.
No, it makes sense, because otherwise you drop off the cliff
Well, we
next year.
enjoy it for this year. If we want to live for the moment, you know, we'll just take it and run, right?
The horizon's not getting any brighter up there. I think it makes sense. I don't know how everyone else feels.
Yeah, I'm fine.
That's consensus. Yes.
Sounds good. We like your plan.
I don't like my plan, but
It's the only plan we
It's a
got.
different plan.
It's the only thing we got.
different than what we had. Okay.
I'd like to review our fixed costs on page 2, because we've updated some of the fixed cost amount and included some notes. And I'll start with the regional school assessment. So the town is a participant in the Northeast Regional Vocational School, and as a result, we receive an annual assessment. The assessment is based upon the number of students and the costs associated with the regional school budget, of which I think we have about a 2.5% share of the student population for it, so it's fairly small. However, they have not yet submitted their budget. There is a meeting on Thursday involving the area town administrators that are part of that budget process. I anticipate that as a result of the meeting on Thursday, the regional vocational school will come forward in terms of what their budget looks like for fiscal year 2015, and then we will make an adjustment to this category based upon that. So what we've done is simply level funded the amount and brought it forward to be adjusted once we hear back from the regional vocational school.
Greg, what have you heard about them anticipating building a new school?
Daunting. And I've already passed along an email to Liz about the fact that they anticipate that they will have to do significant school construction project. And that's part of the discussion that's gonna take place going forward with the administrators on Thursday. But the vocational school's already put that out there as a potential cost item in the future.
And the
We don't
process-
know-
I'm
We
sorry.
we don't know what the cost is.
But the process for it would be that all the communities that send students there would have to vote on it.
Every
Exactly.
community has to approve it.
Every community, and the amount of reimbursement is to be determined. What my expectation is it would be fairly significant.
I heard 70% or higher.
That's the number that I heard too. But Liz and I have had a conversation, although we don't have a dollar amount, it's important that as part of the capital planning process going forward, we're cognizant of the fact that this is a large item.
And the dollar amount is based upon percentage of students that you send there.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
Must be, because that can fluctuate.
That changes every year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if they take an average after over so many years, but
To be determined, but I know that presently we're about 2.5% of the student body.
Wakefield Fire Department was far too efficient this past year.
Which one is that?
Wakefield Fire Department.
Oh, that's true.
Far too efficient.
Oh,
Maybe they self-insure, Steve. Maybe it turned out that it was not a bad deal. Liz, can you talk about that?
Sure. The two debt service line items that you see here, debt service non-exempt and debt service exempt, and also actually there's a third one, debt service short-term. The debt service non-exempt figure that is listed here is current where we stand right now, what's projected, what we have already borrowed long-term for FY15. So that is already bonds that are outstanding. It does not include any potential bonds that we plan to incur with outstanding bans. But the only added to this figure would just be an interest payment for the bans that we have outstanding. The plan is we have bans that come due in May, and we have bans that come due in November. So the plan is to roll those bans that come due in May to November and go long-term in November on all of those bans at once. However, as we move down to the debt service exempt line item, we have chosen to go long-term within this month for the remaining or most of the remaining monies needed for the high school, middle school project. So this figure here that you see in front of you of 6.4 million includes the debt service payment for the high school, middle school project based on 15.5 million. However, that figure, that was just an estimate. I need to get an updated cash flow to know exactly how much it is, but I'm estimating about 18 that is needed. So, but our financial advisor was doing it based on the additional money that was approved last March, so that's why that's what we were going with to get an idea of how much it would cost us for FY15. Does anybody have any questions on that piece?
you need something more current than what you received about a month ago?
Yes, they need something more current.
Just in relation to the debt service that Hillview is servicing,
Mm-hmm. Theirs is not on here. Theirs is on their budget.
okay. that's
So
it.
this is all general fund.
Okay.
So Hillview's and Water presides in their budgets.
Okay. So that's, okay.
So when we vote at town meeting for those accounts, their budgets include their debt service, unlike everyone else that's included in here.
Correct.
Otherwise, we double count it.
Mhm. Anything else? Okay. And then just the short-term debt line item, that's an estimate and that will change once we find out about issuance costs and interest costs. So the bands that we have outstanding right now have an interest payment due in November. They'll also have the ones that come due in May that are rolled to November. They'll have an interest payment themselves, and they will also have a 6-month interest payment for the bond. So they will not have a principal payment for the bond in FY15. They'll just have an interest payment for the bond piece in FY15. And that also depends on what we do with capital items for, borrowing, if we're going to ban them to November or if we're going to ban them for a year, so there's different factors that will come into play with that, but that's what we're estimating right now, so. Good. Good?
Good?
Okay.
Snow and ice. So you see that we carry $250,000 as the reserve for the snow and ice deficit. It's no surprise that this year is presently in a deficit of $281,210.20. As we have always done, we look to address that at the June town meeting, and we look to address it from available funds, which is either transfer from existing department budgets that may be running at a surplus, or transferring it from free cash. So we left town meeting in October with a balance of $512,601 in free cash. So we do have a sufficient revenue source to be able to cover the snow deficit in its entirety. However, if it grows larger than that amount, then what we will need to do is we will need to look at other funding sources. And we hope that that doesn't happen, but March has proven to be a brutal month so far. The amount of the deficit that I indicated to you would also include any amounts that have been encumbered but not spent. And you may ask, well, what are those things? The town would do encumbrances for purchase of salt and other de-icing chemicals and supplies. We want to be able to have those purchase orders submitted. If it proves that they're not necessary, then the finance department will liquidate those purchase orders, and the amount of the deficit will drop accordingly. But as we stand today, it's in deficit of $281,210. Any questions on snow?
Nope.
Other items that are shown here, general liability insurance. We have budgeted a 5% increase across the board in our general liability and property and liability coverages. Also included in this is the cost of opening the new high school, which I previously reported to the board was $79,000. So that's included in this number that's here, along with a corresponding decrease with the middle school coming off effective July 1 of 2014. The other items that are
Greg,
shown...
on that 5%, is that on the high end?
I'm sorry?
The 5% before you factor in the added premium for the new high school, is 5% on the high side?
Actually, we've had very modest increases. There was one year we had no increase at all. And we're, over the next several weeks, we'll work with our insurer to try to lower that. It certainly will not be higher than the amount that you see here. We will work with them to try to lower that number going forward. In the past, we've taken advantage of various credits that are available to us, and it's my expectation that now that the MMA meeting has passed back in January, that we will sufficiently avail ourselves to credit to bring this number back down to more reasonable levels, except for the cost of the new school.
Right. That's what, $79,000, $80,000?
$79,000. And I believe the credit on the middle school was $8,700. Employee benefits, there are two items that are of significance. They're all important, but the county retirement budget represents a 7% increase. And this is a known number to us, so this is the number that the county assesses to us for the cost of our retiree pensions. So this is not the cost for active employees. The town contributes nothing toward active employees. Active employees fund their own pension obligations. So this is for retirees, and it's predicated on the town making its payment in its entirety on July 1, in which case we receive a substantial discount to be able to do this. So this number is an actual. And I think we last time reported that it was an estimate. The other number that's particularly worth noting here is the amount that's budgeted for health insurance. So our insurer, Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare, has reported that the cost of the HMO plan will go up by 4% for fiscal year 2015. That represents the cost associated with the active employee HMO plan and also the enhanced plan, which is available for our retirees. The total increase would be about $250,000, and it represents just over 4%. What we've added here is the cost of new enrollees. So I've looked at what the number of enrollees that we had on both the active plan and the retiree plan, and I've made an assumption that we will have 3 new family plan participants in fiscal year 2015. The reason why that's important is we pretty much level funded or had level enrollment over the last couple of years. And because we're running so close on our health insurance number for this year, it was important to go back and look at what potential enrollment may be coming into our plan. So there's about $40,000 in here that's attributable to those 3 new plans, and accordingly makes the cost a little bit higher than what we would have anticipated. Any questions on health insurance?
I just have a question back on county retirement.
Sure.
We have the fiscal 2014 budget and final number. We were off by $81,000.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We did not have the figure from retirement. I believe we received it maybe right before or the week after town meeting. So in October, we adjusted that figure.
No, Liz, it came in the day after town meeting.
Yeah.
Right, I knew it was around.
It was literally the day after.
All right, so we did adjust that in October.
Yes.
Thank you.
So with regard to health insurance, I had previously reported that the town is facing costs associated with implementation of the Federal Affordable Care Act. Our insurance consultant estimated that cost is between 2.4 and 3%. So if you look at an overall increase of 4%, it's favorable. And again, I can speak to administration has been satisfied with the quality and the care of services that are available under the Harvard Pilgrim Plan. And so I will go forward and request that the Insurance Advisory Committee vote a recommendation for renewal of the Harvard Pilgrim Plan for fiscal year 2015.
And no change to the plans?
No changes to the plan. The plan would remain in its present setup. The other item that's here that Selectman O'Leary had suggested we take a closer look at is the Medicare premium. So we pay 1.45% payroll tax on our Medicare eligible employees, which is nearly everyone, but not everyone, but nearly everyone. And it tracks payroll, so what Liz has done is she's made an adjustment here to reflect the payroll increases on the town side. The school numbers are they in here?
Yes.
They're in here.
This is all inclusive.
Yeah, so it's about 20 grand, 21,000.
But the number's grown a lot over the years. It's grown, and it continues to grow.
Well, the salaries go up, because this never stops.
Mhm.
You know,
Right.
Social Security, which we don't pay, it stops, but this never stops.
And older employees who leave the system, and
Right.
I'm not sure there are many of those people left, but as older employees leave the system who were ineligible.
What was it, 84, before 84?
It was a long time ago. At one time, I used to be one of those employees. But that's it. Any questions on the fixed cost?
No, thank you.
Maybe we should allocate money for Powerball and play on behalf of the town. It's a gamble anyway.
$10 a week, take a shot. Anything else on budget, Greg?
Not on budget. I have a couple things under my report, but I'm done with the budget.
Okay. Go to your town administrator's report.
Steve, if you can pass it down.
Yeah, me too.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Timetable for the annual town meeting, which takes place on June 2nd, 2014. The town meeting warrant under the town bylaw would close on March 17th, which I believe is 2 weeks from this evening. So warrant articles will need to be submitted by that date. I want to note that the school budget hearing is scheduled for April 7th, which is 4 weeks from this evening here in this room. And so the Board of Selectmen had originally reserved this room for April 7th for the board's regular meeting. And I put in a TBD because I was a little bit surprised to see that the school department had scheduled their school budget hearing for this room on that date. So I don't, just an item to reserve as to whether we want to meet in a different location or we can request the schools meet in another location.
Well, they'll certainly want to have their budget meeting televised, I would think.
I think that's part of the reason why they want to be here.
Right.
And if we meet, we could meet, if the board members wanted to attend the budget hearing, we could meet sometime that week if there's availability, but we probably want to commit to a date sooner than later at this stage. Other dates that are important in here is the special board meeting on April 28th, which is the budget hearing for all of the municipal departments and the public. The date for signing of the warrant and voting of the budget would be May 5th. Warrant informational hearings would be on May 19th.
Excuse me, just one second. April 22nd is a Tuesday?
Yes. Patriots' Day.
That's a Monday, it's holiday? Okay, thank you.
Any questions on this? Any dates don't look right? Okay.
No.
Liz, since you're here, do you want to make a note on the employee self-service? Payroll?
Would you like me to discuss it?
Well, why don't you just introduce it?
Sure. So, as I mentioned earlier, in regards to Michael's comment on biweekly payroll, there's a module in Munis that we purchased and we're implementing where, you know, it's live. It's just not live for everybody right now. We've been testing it with a select few within the finance office to see how it's functioning. And we anticipate going live April 25th. We're going to send a memo out to all employees, hope either this Friday or next Friday with their paychecks. It's been shown to department heads, and I've prepared how-to manuals, I've prepared a PowerPoint, and I'm going to prepare a video. If employees don't want to come to a training, they can watch the video. And it's a great module. What it does is it allows you to see all of your paycheck information. You click on a camera icon, you can see your actual paycheck. You can see your W-2s as far back as inception to Munis or as far back inception to employment. You can change your W-4 withholdings electronically, and you sign off electronically, you know, and there's a statement that allows for that, saying that, you know, you are signing it and all that. It also has, there's many benefits to it. We're just using minimal to start with. You can also use an item called the Paycheck Simulator. So if you're deciding that you want to change your, you know, federal tax withholding from 1 to 0, you can see what effect that has on your paycheck. You know, you could add a deduction if you wanted to add a deferred comp plan or one of the other AFLAC insurances that we offer. You can play around with it and come up with what your check would be, what the impact on your check would be. It's a great tool for employees, I think, because currently we have employees that will come to us and they'll say, I need my last 4 or my last 8 pay stubs. Well, we can't recreate that. So we can only give you a printout saying, you know, this is what you've earned on X date. But if it's for a financial purpose, for refinancing or purchasing, a lot of banks or financial institutes don't want that. They want to see the actual, you know, stub. So this stores all of the pay stub images, and, you know, you can save them to PDF and, you know, you could encrypt the file and email it off to your financial institution. You could print them out. You know, you can do whatever you want with them. But, you know, I know for myself and for, you know, many, at least in my office, we throw our direct deposit stubs in our filing cabinet. And if I'd have to open all of them to see which ones I needed because they're not dated on the outside. So, you know, this is a great tool, I think.
It also has earned time, accumulated time, outstanding balances on their time.
No.
No.
We don't utilize that within Munis. For whatever reason, that was never implemented when we went to Munis payroll. I don't have the history on it. From what I understand, it has to do with all the different unions and the different.
No, I mean, we have a similar system, you know, the state where I can go and same thing, look at,
Yep.
I can go back years.
Yes,
Look
yep.
at the pay stub.
But yours has
but
all
also-
your year-to-date time off.
Right, and also, they're actually doing the timesheets online now too, through the system.
You can do that with this
So
system.
they put it in, and as you take a vacation day or so many hours
Yes.
or 2 hours, it automatically takes it off, and
This
as the
system-
monthly thing comes along, it updates it, and
Mhm.
so you can see exactly what you have for.
The system allows for that. The system allows for many things. I mean, you can, you know, apply for jobs through it. You can change your benefits through it. But
Right, same
we're just using the basics right now. You know, maybe that's something that I can tackle to try and do the accruals within Munis. I guess there was some hesitation before to do that. So.
I mean, how many times do you get questions, what do I have left for time? I mean,
We have a manual system.
All the time, Steve.
all the time.
And it takes a lot of time to
Yes.
take those manual sheets and enter them into the
Yes.
system.
But when you do your time and attendance electronically, it automatically updates it. And what you do is you just have a responsibility center as far as, you know, department heads approve employees plug in their time, department heads approve it, once it approve it's done.
I think it's a great
It's all
idea.
tabulated.
This system allows for that,
Right.
and, you know, I'm willing to take that on, because I think the way that it's done is, we don't need to do it that way, so.
It involves a lot of paper,
Yeah.
which gets lost along the way.
And again, the transition, I mean, try doing it with, you know, thousands of employees. I mean, there was a lot of reluctance on people's part, particularly, well, even to pay advice, which is now, they don't mail them out, it's all online.
Yeah.
You want it, there it is. And everybody's direct deposit, unless there's some compelling reason as to why not. And then, time and attendance is now online. Do it as a responsibility center and checks and
Right.
balances, and it's all updated, you know exactly what you have as of that date.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's great, because my assistant spends a lot of her time compiling, you know, every town employee's timesheet, so. And they're not integrated, so we take paper copies and enter them electronically, so. So, I'm looking forward to the system. I enjoy it already. You know, when we process payroll, typically, unless there's some, you know, snowstorm or something like that, payroll is processed and checks are printed on Wednesdays, even though it's not in the bank or you don't get your check until Friday. But when you receive the warrant, we've printed all the checks, whether they're vendor or payroll. So, employees that are on direct deposit receive the direct deposit email on Wednesday. It does note that, you know, these funds will not be, and they put the date, whatever date that Friday is, the funds will be available in your bank on that Friday, but they can see it ahead of time. I mean, if they have overtime in their check or something like that, they can know anticipate what they're gonna get.
Yeah, that's the system we have to, we basically can go
Mhm.
online.
Right.
Check your Friday paycheck on Wednesday.
Right, so, I mean, it's just, I think it's great, and the email is password protected, so, you know, if someone got into your personal email account, they'd have to know what your password was to open your direct deposit advice, so.
When we made the investment in the Munis, I thought we already agreed we were gonna do the time card control on that module.
I'm not sure about the time card.
No?
No, but
was
I'm
on-
willing to add it, you know, and see what the issues, I can investigate what the issues were back when Munis was implemented in 2010, I think, or
It brings up what I brought up earlier. It's time for us to get to this 21st century management, especially for efficiency. I mean, people working with paper brings up so many opportunities for operator error. We have to eliminate it. And because it does cost us money. So whatever, if you have other ideas that can be done, this is the opportunity to do it under this, why we're having this budget discussion. I hope we put it all on the table.
That one task seems like it would free up a lot of time for your assistant.
I believe it would. We would still have to probably quarterly make sure that everything, audited and make sure everything was
on a week-to-week basis?
Oh, God, it's got to be unbelievable.
Right. So, and it may solve the problem of making sure every employee submits a timesheet.
Yeah.
So we have to chase people?
Oh, yeah.
Well, the system won't, you can't get a paycheck unless the
No,
system.
even, up until about a year and a half ago, the state system was weekly timesheets that you had to submit. Again, you called in, it was done somewhat automated, and whoever was overseeing you made sure that, everything was in, or the payroll department was putting you in. But for any earned time, or, if you took sick or you took vacation or things like that, and you didn't submit your timesheet, you had to have approval anyway, so they may or may not catch it. And then when you finally submit it, they have to go back in, re-verify, and it was a real pain in the neck. Now, it's every week, you have to have it done by Thursday afternoon,
Do it from
and
yourself.
then whoever's in charge of your time goes in on Friday to get the approval, and if you haven't done it, they can put the time in, they can make the adjustments, and put it in, or,
We do that.
yeah,
We don't hold payroll, we do it.
right.
So I'm looking
But
forward to it.
the thing to do is, if someone's chronic like that, you just mistakenly keep taking away their sick or vacation time, and all of a sudden they get the message. If you're worried about it, we'll make that adjustment.
Solves that problem.
Do it yourself and do it on time.
That assumes they take it.
Right, but I mean, if you took it from them, they'll notice it.
Right.
And
Not if
they'll
they never
have to
use
do
it.
Yeah, right.
So, but we've already, with the paper, for audit purposes, we need to keep original copies of invoices, for example, but with one of the new modules in Munis that we purchased, Tyler Content Manager, we now store the copy of the invoice within Munis. So you can click on a vendor, and instead of me, when I first came here, I went to click on the camera icon and nothing happened. And I said, I have to go to a filing cabinet? Oh, okay, so this eliminates that process. So if I need to investigate some invoices, I can pull them up electronically, whether it's from home or here. I don't have to go and, go to that
Manually
particular
grab a
week
file.
and find the file. So, we're coming along, and I think many are enjoying it.
Good. That's good to
So,
hear.
Thank you for all your hard work. We know how much time you put into this.
thank you.
I know you have a big staff, and they've all contributed greatly, but
Yes,
we know
you know.
no, but she
She
is.
doesn't have a big staff, she has a hardworking
Well,
staff.
she has a staff, hardworking staff, all of them, but
No, I have
tend to
a
overlook
great
you
staff
and
that makes
giving
it
you
possible,
kudos.
so,
they deserve it too, but you as well.
thank you. So that's employee self-service.
And that concludes my report. Thank you. Thank you, Liz.
The school will also be using employee self-service too, so we've been coordinating with them, and, they're happy about it too, so.
Very good. Thank you very much.
What are we gonna do about the April date? Whether there's a conflict with the school budget hearing?
Greg, you want to check with Superintendent Willis to confirm that date, and if they plan to be
And
here in this
location.
location? Or because typically they go to the large group room at the middle school to do their budget hearing. So let's confirm that first, and then we
Okay.
should talk about our date in April.
All right.
I don't know if we want the same date anyhow, because typically some of us like to attend their budget hearing.
If I may just say, that week, the bond will need to be signed. So if some meeting can take place, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
Very good. Old to new business?
Forgot public comment. You forgot.
No, I said that earlier.
Oh, I'm sorry, you forgot
Minutes?
Minutes.
We're gonna put the minutes off for.
Minutes.
Actually.
The minutes are ticking away in the evening, so.
At least, we can't vote on at least one of them anyway, because Michael and I were here at the last meeting, so.
We're
might as well
gonna
wait.
postpone the minutes until our next
Okay.
meeting. Mr. Fode, old or new business?
I just have one issue. I emailed you, Greg, on the issue with a couple of correspondence I received regarding water bills and the time frame in which they're read. I guess the current bills that went out were approximately 70 days. And again, I know we talked about this last year, the issue being that those 20 days will be made up in the next billing period and could push some homeowners into the next tier. And I think it's something that really needs to be addressed. I don't know if we, I sent an email to you, Greg, and, you, Dick, and to Mark.
Right.
Mark did respond to me today and was very cordial in letting me know the reason for why it was done, a lot to do with the weather. But that being said, I think we have an obligation to try and resolve that. I don't know if we send it back to Water Commission and try and see if they can come up with the policy, but I think there needs to be a no more than and no less than time frame between that 90 days that we can't go over or go under in an effort to try and be fair. Or either that, or I know Liz was talking earlier about, billing through Munis. That'll give us the capability of at least making the corrections in the tier so people aren't building that higher tier. But I just hope that, we can get to that. If we can get to that point by November, then it won't be that big an issue for next year. But it is a concern. I've received, being the liaison to the Water Commission, I received several correspondence over the weekend, so.
Has anybody, I haven't, other than my wife noticing that the bill was a lot more, because of extra days, and have we had any complaints as far as, people going into the next tier? I haven't.
This is the reverse, I think.
No, this is the reverse. It's only 70 days
So-
right
so
now.
they're-
which means
they're
the next-
concerned for the next
Okay.
four.
The next
Yeah.
bill will add the 20 days on it, so you could see it in the next bill.
This was last year, right? I think we had the
We
same
talked
problem,
this,
right?
yeah, we did.
Yeah, I don't know. if
You got a good memory. It was the exact same time of year.
It was the same billing period.
Right.
And I, only because, I've done this for a number of years, I do understand the problem when you have someone who has to physically go out and do the reads.
Oh, that's right, last year he was doing it in snowshoes.
Right.
That's right.
Remember?
So,
And I can assure you, you would sink with snowshoes.
Yeah, that's right.
Anything else?
that's it for me, thanks.
Mr. O'Leary?
I'm good.
Good. Mr. Prisco?
Just one, I've been trying to keep the board up to date. So you all know Alex Carpenter, our young lady from town who's on the U.S. Women's Olympic team. She's finally home. We've been trying to set up a welcome home celebration for her. It was finally determined today, confirmed, that we're going to do it this Saturday at Ipswich River Park, 11 o'clock. I've spoken with Senator Tarr's office, Representative Jones' office. They are going to try to participate. I would hope the board, everybody can make it. It's going to be a really fun event. We're not going to take a long time. We're going to try to keep it under a half hour and then give her more opportunity to meet with the kids, sign autographs, take pictures, but trying to put on a really nice celebration for her and her family. So we're going to kick things off at 11. I'm asking everyone to try to get down there early, and then she will be escorted over from the police station, from the police and fire, and we'll, like I said, it'll be a brief ceremony, a few gifts handed out. I could use help with the citation if I could get one. Maybe one of the members could help me pull that together.
Rick, can we do that? Can we have a
Yes.
citation?
If anybody's interested in emceeing the celebration, that's, I don't have to do it. I've been working on it, but if somebody really would like to do it, absolutely, I have no problem handing it over.
No, you did the work.
But I really, Chief Murphy and Deputy Chief Galvin and Susan Magner actually been big help. Susan's helped me get the flags, so we're trying to make it very patriotic, and so that's it. Any questions on that?
No, I appreciate
Sent
it.
you guys, trying to keep you up to date on it. So I'd use some help though if I help get the word out. It's a very short time frame to get the message out for Saturday. But I hope the kids come down, bring their shirts and stuff that she can sign. Good.
Appreciate your efforts and the efforts of the other folks that have assisted in putting it together. I think it'll be a
Thank you.
good event. I've already
It's
co-
good, yeah. Not very often we have them looking
No,
at it.
no.
Yeah,
In our
it's
midst
great
of
for the
it.
town.
Exactly.
Is it with the same zip code? That's good.
This is a really good thing for the town. It's really good for her too, and good for her family to be recognized. She
About-
certainly played wonderful.
I've notified
She did.
the Hockey
She
Association,
played great.
North Reading Skating Association, so the word's getting out to the coaches and players, and hopefully it'll be well attended.
We connected with the media outlets. Several of them will be in attendance as well.
Very good. Anything else? Very good. And I don't have anything this evening.
I have flyers if anybody wants.
With that, motion to adjourn? Second. Motion to second, all in favor?
Aye.